Riot was a band that got lost in the shuffle, but they had some great music, they have a great story, and they should not be forgotten.
I totally agree with that thought, and that's why I'm making this film. So I wasn't sure if I'm going to go in this direction, but fuck it. Let's make a pivot and take a journey back in time and explore some of Riot's history, which has its beginnings in Brooklyn, New York in the early 1970s.
One of these days, pow, right in the kiss. Oh, you're a riot, riot, riot.
In the Flatbush neighborhood of Brooklyn, childhood friends Mark Reale and Peter Batelli started playing rock and roll music together. In 1974, they added fellow Brooklynite bassist Phil Fight to their group, now named Riot, and started playing covers in Mark's basement. They soon found singer Guy Speranza performing with another cover band at a Brooklyn block party and convinced him to join Riot. They continued playing covers, but also started writing original material to incorporate into their set list, which they were now playing out in rock clubs in Manhattan.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. I missed you. Did you miss me? A week and a half. It's very rare that we go a week and a half without doing the show. But this is one of those times. And it's good to be back. And I missed you. My friends. I'm a lucky motherfucker. I'm a napalm dropping motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm a lucky dude. What's up, DD? How are you? Rich Zoller shouting out hard. Hey, John, how's things in the UK? Yes. John F. in West Hempstead. A lot of Long Island going on in today's show. There's gonna be some Long Island talk on today's show. You love the ID album? Well, thank you, buddy. The Incendiary Device album crushes. I could say that with a straight face. You know? Yes, Ray Hogan. Kudos to Mike Valente and the Albany crew for a great weekend. Absolutely. The Extreme Music Awards was great. Great week. Is that right, Matt Gray? Matt Gray, who plays drums on the majority of the tracks on the Incendiary Device record, loves Riot. Big Riot fan. You know, that's right. Fire down. I'm excited about today. I'm really excited about today's show. I got a really good feeling about it. I'm really excited about it. And, you know, what can I say? Yes, Howie Abrams, my man. I'm aware Mike didn't play on it, but Fire Down Under may be the single most underrated album of all time. Yeah, we're going to get into a lot of that today. I've been doing a super hard. I've been doing my homework. All you patrons that back this show, I've been doing my homework. You enable me to spend copious amounts of hours focusing on this stuff. Hey, Walter, what's up, monster? Yeah, we ripped. Good. You got it, buddy. Of course. Yeah. Walter's talking about the new book. If you're a patron, you get it for free. If not, it's available at www.stonefilmsnyc.com. And speaking of free,
what's up?
If it's free, it's for me.
I'm free.
I'm free. Dun 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 dun. I'm free. You don't look too free. Looks like you're in a.
I'm in a box.
I'm in a box.
I'm in a nice warm conductor's cab right now.
I am the man in the box.
This is warmer than the supply box. I'll tell you that.
Yo, shouting out Scott Earth and Silence Equals Death.
Scott Earth.
You know? Yeah. Yeah. Is that what you wear at work? And a Madball hat?
Listen, anything that fits my head, which is a rare thing.
The mad balls can't come in here. Remember that
mad
story?
Balls?
You know that story?
No.
I've told it. Years ago, Madball, we were at the Rainbow on Hollywood Boulevard, right? And like, this is when, you know, everywhere that the Madball crew went, they just fucking destroyed everything. So they come into the Rainbow and there's like this melee, you know, like somebody throws a garbage can through the front door. And like the Rainbow in LA were like, kind of like the guy, you know, they were kind of like, you know, mobsters ran the place. You know, the guy that ran the door, the maitre d' was like a mobster. And like, you know, he was sort of laughing at him and he was like, the Mad Balls can't come in here. That's it for the Mad Balls. They can't come in here anymore. You know, hey, Andrew Ray from Detroit. Gonna lose your mind. All right. Good. Let's. The Mad Balls can't come in here anymore. You know.
Actually, right. I see you're wearing the. Is that a Hoya shirt too? Yeah. Is that by chance?
Yeah.
Look at that. Getting a lot of love today. This
is like my hardcore uniform. Like when I want to go hardcore, like that's my hardcore uniform. You know. So that said, yeah, Mario at the Rainbow. He laughed. He's like, they were getting crazy. He's like, ha 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 ha.
I saw a great documentary about the Rainbow not too long ago.
Hello from the Netherlands. What's up, Crystal? Listen, everybody in Europe, I know there's a lot of serious Riot fans out there. Today's show's not going to disrespect. So let's get right to it. Photo of the day. Wrong answers only, please. Here we go. Photo of the day. Boom. Wrong answers only, please. Is it? That's an outfit, man. That's a hell of an outfit.
This was taken at one of the Incendiary Device shows, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is it the Rainbow Bouncer? The Mad Balls can't play here. Is it Meatloaf?
Mad Balls.
Is it Meatloaf?
Mad Balls and Meatloaf.
Is it Best from Chili Hardcore? Hey, Dentro. Good to see. Is it a good one? Good one. Is it Gigi? Kind of has a Gigi Allen vibe to it.
Ha.
Is it homeless? Is it the homeless Billy Joel? If anything, it's more like the S&M Billy Joel. Is it the Metal Lucifer? Is it Bionic Woman Cramps?
I think there's actually a band called Metal Lucifer in one word.
We are Metal Lucifer.
Yeah.
Here's another shot. Okay, let's do right answers only, please. Here you go. What band is this? Let's go with this. Let's go with this. Good one, Howie. Strength through Roy. Good one, bro. That's a good one. Good one. What band? Is it Scott Earth? No. Is it Messina on a Saturday night? That's all right. Okay. Is it Judas Priest? No.
Hey, Whitney.
You are wrong. It is not. This is not Judas Priest, right?
That's correct.
Is it Fight? Is it
Nope.
Fight? Is it Fight?
It's not Fight. It's not Fight. It's not Fight.
It's not Fight either. Let's do
Nope.
another shot here, and there is a connection with today's guest. It's not Priest. It's not Fight. Here's another shot. Yeah, look at the bass drum. Someone said, right? Look at the bass drum. Is it Halford? Is it Halford? Is it Halford? Is it Halford?
It's Halford.
Is it Halford?
In fact, the cool thing for this particular show is that not only is it Halford, this is Rob Halford's solo band. Actually, after Fight and after he also did a project called 2 as well.
That's right.
But these are taken at Lemoore, Brooklyn. He did 2 nights at Lemoore, Brooklyn.
I remember that.
And which was very cool. And you can't really see him in these shots because Rob is center stage. But this band featured a drummer named Bobby Jazarmbach.
There you go.
Came from Riot. And,
that's right.
A fantastic drummer. And the Halford records, you know, you could tell when he was making these records that he was kind of preparing to rejoin Priest, I think.
Yeah.
And but they did 2 nights in Brooklyn, and I was actually working with them on that tour. And then they did the Metal Gods tour at BB King's, and just tremendous. But in fact, one of those guitar players is a guy named Roy Z, who produced a bunch of bands as well.
That's right. Roy Z.
So these guys, this is a pretty Roy Z, I believe, is the guy in the V, playing the V.
Right. Yeah, he's a young guy, yeah.
Great band, and that was this is going back to about 2002, I believe.
When Halford played back then, did they do any Priest songs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, this show, one of these shows, I know they opened up with Painkiller. You know, they did all the really heavy shit like Freewheel Burning, you know. Yeah. I think he was kind of proving himself, and also he was heavily influenced by a lot of the stuff like Pantera at the heavier music at the time.
Sure.
That's why his solo stuff got so much heavier, like the fight
I
stuff.
guess it was a dumb question because he wasn't in Judas Priest at the time. That's Ripper Owens' era.
Right. Ripper was in,
I saw Priest with Ripper Owens. They were pretty good.
He could sing, but he couldn't really write the way that they needed him, you know. It's weird because both Priest and Maiden had that brief period where the 2 legendary singers left and then they both came back. So
I've said on the show many times, the only time I ever saw Iron Maiden was with Blaze Bayley.
That's funny.
And it was in a club in New York. I think it was like at their low point. I saw them.
I think it was Roseland, right?
No, it was the Ritz when it was at Studio 54, I believe.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Is that right? Saw a fight with Limelight at Voivod.
Yep, I was at that show.
Yeah,
I was at that fight in Limelight. In fact, we've actually shown pictures from that show on this show.
Right on.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, so I got to keep it moving. It's going to be a long show today.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm a Riot fan myself. I'm excited about this.
Listen, don't crash that train, bro.
What does this button do right here? Hold on.
Any kids surfing on top?
No, today is a good day. It's too cold, hopefully, for the idiots to, you know,
surf on the train.
It's getting really out of hand with that stuff.
Yeah.
So
young kids, man, getting killed doing it too.
You know, we actually have announcings there's announcements every day. There's
Is that
billboards.
right? Is that right, Howie? That Maiden show with Blaze Bayley was at Hammerstein. That could be because I remember being in a balcony.
Yeah, they got the balconies there.
That could be. All right, man.
All right.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
You got
it. Later. There you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and Upstate Records. They're a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label founded in 2017. They broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation and since then have churned out close to 100 releases in their brief 5-year history. With such notable artists as Leeway, NYHC, Sub-Zero, Brick by Brick, Fury 5 as part of their roster, they maintain a focus on elevating upcoming artists that have the work ethic to take their music to the next level. Upstate Records also has an extensive collection of distro items from labels around the world and recently penned an exclusive distribution deal with Century Media. Check them out at www.upstaterecordsnewyork.com. Blah, blah. That said, let's bring our guest on. Here we go. Let's clear the deck. What the heck? All right. Put your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. Born in Brooklyn, in New York City, today's guest is a guitarist, songwriter, and music teacher. He's known for his work with the bands Faith and Fire, Cleanbreak, and of course, for 35 years, Riot, currently known as Riot 5. Here today to talk to us about his incredibly proficient music career, as well as the recently released Immortal Soul, a Riot tribute and concert film. Please welcome, coming at us from Amityville, Long Island, Mr. Mike Flyntz. Hey, man.
How you doing, Drew? Thank you for having me.
I'm excited about today's show, buddy.
Me too. Thank you for, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really am. I really, I've talked about this a lot on the show. It's like, a lot of times for me, a lot of the guests are guys I've worked with, done music videos for, tour managed for, played shows with. This. It's like having, an old running pal on the show. And 300 shows in, the shows that are really interesting, well, everything, I enjoy it all, but I love when a band and a guy comes on that I just don't know everything. So it's a learning experience, and there's homework to do. And in this case, I really did a deep dive, man, into your career and all the stuff you've done. And wow, I learned a lot and really enjoyed your art, man. I must say, I really enjoyed the stuff that you've done. I don't want to say I was surprised, at how good it is or was, but it was great. And I'm really excited to have you on.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's, how's Long Island? Everything cool in Long Island?
Is everything cool? Everything's frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I was trying not to fall down in my driveway. Everything's iced over. Walking up to get ready for this interview. Yeah. It's great though. I love it. And people say, yeah. So you're in Amityville, right? Yeah, a small town. I've been here for a long time. Went to high school here, and got so many friends and family here, and a local business half mile from home.
Do you get stuck with the yo, take us to the Amityville Horror House? You get stuck with that shit?
I don't know where it is.
That's the stock answer. I don't know.
I don't know where it is. I don't know. I know it's around here somewhere.
That's great.
When my Riot band members want to go there, I'm like, no, I'm not taking you there.
Those poor people that live in that house, man.
Yeah, they're doing okay now. They're used to it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's bounce the ball back and forth a little bit. Let's get into it.
Sure.
Dom says Flatbush represent. How did you come up? I know you were born in Brooklyn. How did you come up? How did music come into your life? Did you grow up in a musical household?
Yeah, my parents didn't play music. They didn't play instruments. It skipped a generation. My grandparents did. I was born in Brooklyn, was a jock, lived in Woodhaven for a bunch of years, played baseball. My father coached. And even when we moved to Long Island, we still played baseball in Forest Park until I was like 14. I don't know how my father I don't think I was allowed to, but we did. And
Mhm.
you know, the long car rides back and forth, the music was always playing. My father was a doo-wop guy. You know,
Wow.
he wanted to be. You know, he sang as a teenager with some bunch of doo-wop guys, and there was always Beatle albums, Simon Garfunkel, Beach Boys, along with all the doo-wop stuff. So I grew up, you know, listening to music. They always had music playing and harmony going. So I developed an ear for harmony.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, you and I are the same age. So, and we both grew up, you know, in New York. So,
Right.
I mean, and we've said this many times that back then also radio was very vibrant. There was so much radio was just so, there was so many stations, so much great stuff on FM radio, right?
Yeah, we had CBS FM to play all the 50s doo-wop stuff, LIR, NEW, BAB. There was a multiple of you know, all different types of music, but there was a multiple of rock stations too.
Right.
They were competing in new wave. LIR got into the new wave.
Yep.
LIR did the whole concert series with Riot back in '81, I think it was.
Is that right?
Yeah, this famous footage. A lot of the footage in the documentary is from, I think it's My Father's Place, and it's a LIR live concert too. I know everybody watches the video, but it was a live simulcast.
Yeah, I know the exact footage you're talking about, the 1981 My Father's Place footage. My Father's Place in Roslyn, Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I saw the Ramones there in 79, 80, something like that.
Wow.
I've been there many times. Dixie Dregs. Yeah, I was 14, 15. A little different. The Dregs and the Ramones, a little different,
but I can relate because I saw both those same bands in the same era. The Dixie Dregs were great. I mean, they were always great, but early on, they were great. They were
one
really,
of my biggest influences.
Is that right?
Morris. Oh yeah, I have every album, and I tried to shred like he did. He was
Alan Sloan. They early on, but before even the word got out, like those first couple of you know, Dixie Dregs records before they were the Dregs.
Right.
I saw them early on, and they were fantastic, man.
Yeah.
You know, it was like sort of seeing. I saw Joe Satriani early on, and that was fantastic. Like to see him before he broke big in a small place, I was just blown away, man.
Yeah, I had the same experience when I was what was it, 83 and 84, 85. I went to Nassau Community College to get my first 2 years of music school. So I joined the concert committee, and one of my we had Striper, but one of the first acts came in was some blues guy. I never heard of him before, and most people didn't. He walks in with the hat on. I get his guitar, meet him, watch him do sound check, and he blew me away. It was Stevie Ray Vaughan. And so I met him when I didn't know who he was.
Wow.
So what a great experience.
Did you feel back then when you saw him that he was something special?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of my job. I just was pinned watching him play guitar. I was supposed to be doing stage manager duties, but I was blown away.
Yeah, he just beat up that Strat, man. That was incredible.
Yeah, he was twirling it, you know, by the whammy bar, and I've never seen anything like that. I've seen, you know, movies of Hendrix and stuff, but I saw it, to see it in person, it was crazy.
Yeah, I saw him too. He was great. So music's around. You know, your dad, the radio. What was the first as a young person, the first music that you connected to and felt like, hey, this is me. This is speaking to me.
Yeah, the first major band for me was the Beatles. I mean, that's not different than many people who are musicians.
Sure.
You know, I liked all the doo-wop stuff and various songs, but the first time I ever got into one band, it was the Beatles. And you know, back then, you know, we had our bedrooms covered in posters. You know, you couldn't see you didn't have to paint the walls. Every spot was covered with a poster, mostly Beatles, you know, and Beach Boys. The harmony thing for me.
I was gonna say it fits right in with the harmony thing, man. You know.
And then I was into the harmony, and then I heard Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was right along with the harmonies. And I remember at the end of the song when it kicks in heavy, that was my introduction to hard rock. But I heard, you know, like, wow, what is this? And I wanted to Kiss, you know, big Kiss fan. It was you know, Riot got asked to do the Kiss cruise, so it was a big honor for me to take pictures with Paul Stanley and
right.
And
Didn't Riot, but I think might have been before you joined. Didn't Riot do the Animalized tour?
yeah, that's before I was in the band. Yeah, that was a big tour for them. They did many big tours before I was in the band.
What was it? Was that Kiss Vandenberg and Riot?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
84 was it? I could be wrong with my years.
Yeah.
I don't have all the years.
Yeah.
I got my trusty my gift from the Kiss cruise here. My lunchbox.
Nice. Wow, good one.
So that means a lot to me, to go full circle at my age.
Sure.
40-some years later.
So and just before we go there, I think it makes a lot of sense, because if anyone's familiar with your guitar work, there's a lot of harmony in there, and you could almost connect the dots. Of course, the Beatles, of course, doo-wop. Your writing, your leads that you play are really harmony based, I must say. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, So why guitar? What inspired you to reach for that instrument initially?
I think clarinet in 4th grade and stuff like that, and I decided I didn't want to have any instrument where I had to blow. And then just watching the Beatles, I don't know, the drums did nothing for me. I went right for the guitar, and my father did have an acoustic. He took lessons. He tried to play, but at one point when I was, I guess, 10 or 11, I was picking up his guitar and teaching myself out of his little Yankee Doodle book that he had, how to play, how to read the notes, and I taught myself out of there. And for some reason, I just learned quick, and I picked it right up.
Yeah. So you took to it. You took to it pretty easily, which is great. And guitarists that really inspired you early on. I know we talked about Kiss, so of course Ace Frehley, but anybody else that was like real big in your world when you just started going?
I mean, all the obvious ones, but after the Beatles, I told you I heard the Queen, so I went out and bought my first. They say, what's the first record you bought with your own money? And that was the Queen, News of the World. And so Brian May was my first rock.
Bro, we're the same age.
So talking about harmony, I mean, to hear how he did 2-part, 3-part, 4-part harmony, those Queen records is how I made my transition. So I was Queen, and then I got into, Zeppelin afterwards. I love Led Zeppelin, and I had every album and learned every song, but they were more hard rock, blues based, not so much of the harmony stuff, more riff rock. But so I got into the stuff that would actually lead me to Riot. I got into a lot of the European rock. I gravitated Deep Purple because of melodies. Not only harmony but melody, and Rainbow and that kind of stuff got my ear. Some of the stuff, like, those bands weren't as big as Led Zeppelin were in the States. I mean, they were like Queen. I discovered Michael Schenker and Gary Moore at
Come on now.
This is all early. Everybody's listening to blues-based hard rock, but I was listening to more melodic stuff. With everything else. Black Sabbath, they were there from the beginning. Black Sabbath, one of my biggest. My brother, all my friends hanging out the schoolyard playing handball with the boombox with Black Sabbath going.
I could see Schenker being a big influence.
The most melodic guitar player there is.
Yeah.
As far as rock melodic guitar, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best at that.
Is this the Keep It True Festival? Is Oliver the creator of it? Is he the guy that's in the film?
Yes, and he wanted to bring back old school rock, and he started the festival, and he gave us a chance. We owe a lot of thanks to him. He brought when Mark passed away. I'm getting ahead a little bit, but we were going to end the band, but Mark's father says, no, you got to keep it going.
Yeah,
said, we'll change the name a little bit.
Sure.
Oliver's one of the first people that gave us a shot, because everybody says you can't play without Mark, and actually I said you can't play. Riot can't exist without Mark.
Yeah.
So I was out, and Oliver gave us a chance, one of the early chances, and we went there with the current Riot 5 band, and we said, let's just see how the fans like it. And now it's 10 years later. Riot 5's, we're on our 10th year anniversary.
I saw him come up in the chat room, and I just wanted to just acknowledge that you
Oh,
know,
he's yeah.
yeah, right here. Oliver says, "Keep It True Festival is watching too." Oliver,
All
keep it
right.
true.
Hey,
There
Oliver.
yeah, he's watching the show.
We owe a lot of thanks to you, Oliver. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really enjoy. And we're going to get into the film when we bring Damien on, but you know, Oliver was a great breath of fresh air in the film. You know, and really passionate that what he does with that genre of music. So yeah. So let's move it along in leaps and bounds. But what was your first exposure to Riot? Did you go see them play? Was it a record? How did Riot, the band, come into your orbit?
Yeah, the Riot was at the point they weren't mainstream. They were close. They were doing some big tours, and I just got my hands on an album, and I heard I mentioned in the documentary too the song "Gunfighter" with Red Forrester is the first thing I heard.
Was it this album? Was it Rock City?
No, that's the first record. It's off the fourth record.
Okay.
And my cover band would do it. We were doing the song "Gunfighter" by Riot, and everybody knew Sauce and Tequila, and Fingers Metal Shop is, I don't know if you know Fingers from BAB. I would hear some Riot songs every Sunday night. He had a heavy metal show, and then when I went to Nassau Community College, one of the first guys I met was a guy named John Dunn, and he says, "Yeah, my first cousin is Mark Reale from Riot." I said, "Wow." And then we started going to see him. We went to L'Amour's, and I would go see Riot, and that's how it started for me. Then I went back and got the old albums, and so that's around 80, 83, 84.
I saw the. Let's set this table that Mark Reale. I'm pronouncing it.
He's Italian, so it's pronounced Reale.
Reale. Now, this is Italian Mark Reale's house in Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
This is where he grew up. Now, for those that are fans of the show, that watch the show and enjoy guests coming on and may not know the complete background, let's set the table a little bit about who Mark is. Basically, Mark was the founder and the driving force behind Riot. Mike, does that make?
Yes, correct. He started the band with Peter Vitelli, the drummer, and Phil Fight, actually, a bass player who went later on to play the bass line in White Wedding. He played with Billy Idol, and he did a lot of other very cool stuff. He has quite a resume himself, Phil Fight, but he was gone early, and I don't know the exact reasons why everybody was leaving, but I heard many different opinions and stories. But as you'll learn, like a lot of members were in and out and in and out. Yeah. So
and Mark was a Brooklyn guy.
He was born in Brooklyn, lived in that house for many years. He moved out to the island in the I think it was the mid 80s, maybe in the mid 80s. He moved to Smithtown, but that house is where all the guys would have fun and jam and play. And I know all those Riot guys, they knew Peter Criss at the time too, because Peter Criss was local. And I don't know the exact story with which guy knew him more, maybe Peter Vitelli, the original drummer. But Mark just started, he was a great kid, great guy, into films, into photography, and he just got into music heavy. And he picked up the guitar, and he was good at an early age. And he wanted to not just be a cover guy. He started writing. He was very creative from the beginning. And I could talk for 2 hours about him. So, but that's it in short. As far as Mark coming up, and he met I think he had a 3-piece band, and then he saw Guy Speranza at a block party. That's the story Mark's father tells me, and Mark Reale's father actually takes credit. He goes, I said, you got to get that guy in the band. But I told Mark, he sings good and he's a good-looking guy, and the girls are gonna love him. So get him in the band. So that's Mark's father's story.
And I think it's important to set the table a little bit we don't have to do the deep dive now, but it'll come up that very early on, Mark and the other guys pretty much got involved with, is it fair to say, like a production contract? They basically signed with managers as young people. They basically signed, a deal that really tied them up and became really difficult to get out to get out of later. And they were basically shackled to a corpse later on. Is that fair to say?
It is, yeah. And I was part of it too, and it went on for a long time. I mean, I was very involved with the whole organization too. Even in, I joined in '89, even then. So, Steve Loeb from Green Street Studios,
right?
He really helped Riot in the beginning. He had the recording studio. He gave him a shot, and everybody was very thankful for that. And we went back to him a few times, but he controlled everything. So at one point, you're very thankful for getting, how many kids get to do a full-length album. So Riot got presented the opportunity through Steve Loeb, and you have to, it was kind of cool. I mean, it's a long story, but they were actually going to be part of a compilation album of New York City metal.
Mm-hmm.
And after Steve Loeb heard 2 songs, you guys are great. I'm gonna do a whole album for you guys, and that's what happened. So he was very responsible. I don't know, maybe Riot would have got a deal with somebody else, but back in those days, Van Halen couldn't even get signed. Nobody can get signed. So Mark was like, "Yeah, we'll take it. Let's go. Sign me up."
And it turned out to be one of those, infamous music business double-edged sword deals, right? It's like, we got nothing else in front of us. These guys are into us. We got nothing else out there. Seems like we have some opportunity. We sign on the dotted line, and then, and this happens a lot, right? When certain people can take bands to a certain point, but then you need the baton needs to be handed off to someone else. And
right,
part of the Riot story was these guys weren't willing to hand the baton to anybody else.
Correct, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark, they couldn't move up the ladder, and so it was very helpful with Steve Loeb and Steve Loeb's partner Vinny, and they invested money, time. They did a lot for Riot. But when it's time, as you said, to pass it along to the next level, like Clive Bernstein, like the guys who were signing Metallica and the guys who were signing Def Leppard, when they got signed, the offer was there for Riot, and Riot blew it because of and Mark was very passive. Whatever, let them guys take care of it. And Mark didn't like confrontation, and to his own fault, though. He should have stuck up for himself, but very passive and Riot, I could have been everybody Riot could have been huge. I might not have ever met them and had a chance to be in Riot. So, it's a long story, and Riot's not the first band that's happened to it. To the majority of bands.
Of course not. You mentioned you saw Riot at Lemoore?
Oh yeah, many times. Yeah.
This is a Lemoore 84 tape, the Born in America tour, and so you saw Riot a bunch of times.
Yeah. I saw him, and I even went backstage. Through Mark's cousin John, got right backstage, met all the guys, got their autographs. And it was 4 or 5 years later, I was in the band.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, I want to bring my co-host on for today.
Sure.
Y'all, those that he's been on a bunch of times. Very knowledgeable author, music historian, of course, Joel Gostin. What's up, man?
Hello.
How are you, buddy?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Great, thanks.
Good. Are you getting all this, Joel?
Oh, I've got it already, man. I'm a huge fan of Riot. It's an honor to be on today's show, truly.
And let me set the table a little bit for everybody out there. When I booked Mike to do the show, I reached out to Joel and I said, "Hey, you you know this band, this band Riot, and he was like, they're one of my favorite bands. I love them. I'm infatuated with this band. And I said, well, why don't you come on and co-host it with me? So that said, Joel, you kind of seen where we brought it up to this point. Any perspective you could lend to this? Any question for Mike or anything?
Well, first of all, let me preface everything by saying, in my opinion, Riot, now Riot 5, is in a very, very small, very exclusive class of bands. I think it only includes Zeppelin and Motorhead, in addition to Riot, in that Riot from 77 to today has never once made a bad album, ever. Every single Riot album is amazing. Varying styles of music depending on the era and who's in the band, but anything with the name Riot or Riot 5 on it is guaranteed to be an amazing record. And I can't think of many bands who fit that category. So that's my never humble opinion on Riot to begin with. But yeah, Mike, you came on board in a very interesting time for Riot because the band had kind of ground to a halt a little bit around 84. There were a couple of years where Mark went out to Texas and started a band called Narita, which was named after the second Riot album. A couple past members kind of came through that era, and eventually it settled on a four-piece lineup with Tony Moore on vocals, Mark, Bobby on drums, and Donnie on bass. And then around that time, you were brought in as a touring guitarist, and a couple years later, a full member of the band. But that was really when the band's music went from that, that classic Guy era to the Rhett Forrester albums, which is more of a hard rock, kind of, not always mid-tempo, but generally a hard rock vibe. Then when you joined the band, that era of Riot, that's what is now known as power metal. So Riot really pioneered power metal in America and by extension Europe. So you grew up as a fan of the old school Riot. Now you're in a band called Riot with Mark that's very intricate with the guitar work, and the music is just pummeling in a different direction. For you, what was it like joining the band as they're exploring the next era of their musicianship and getting more into that intense and intricate power metal direction?
Yeah, I was a Riot fan then. I knew all the what was considered more of the hard rock stuff. The first three albums are very cutting edge, and the second two that followed, the Guy Speranza area, were more back into the hard rock vein. But in those years, there was a lot of guitar playing come up. 83, 84, you had Yngwie Malmsteen. Again, I didn't mention Eddie Van Halen yet, but he's like my biggest rock inspiration of all time. The Satriani's, the boys. So I was in college from 84 to 87. So I was keeping up with all the, the shredders, or trying to at least. And even back then, I was listening to Steve Morse, as we said, Al Di Meola. It was funny. So I knew a lot of the fast Al Di Meola stuff, from Spanish to jazz, what he did. I knew a couple of songs. So even when I met Mark at my house, I got the first edition when they, going back a hair, when they got the Thundersteel tour in 88, they went out, did America, and then they finally got the offer in 89 to go to Japan for the Thundersteel tour. And now they're already playing this fast music. So Mark said, we need another guitar player. So my friend John Dunn, Mark's cousin, said, wait, before you hold auditions, check out my friend Mike. So he came to my house and we started talking, and Al Di Meola came up. And when he says, wow, we just did Thundersteel, we're going to go on tour, but on our new album, we're doing an Al Di Meola cover called Race with the Devil. And I said, I know it. And it's a shredder. So I played it for him, and right away his eyes opened and he says, can you play this? And he shows me Thundersteel. And I just, within 5 minutes, I played it. And he goes, all right, can you learn these songs? And there was no auditions. And, 4 weeks later, I was I was playing 3,500 sold out places in Japan. And that's the picture right there.
Is that Mr. Udo in the picture?
That's Mr. Udo. He just passed away.
I know. Mr. Udo, for those that may not know, Mr. Udo was a legendary promoter in Japan. He was the guy that brought over, he was like the guy. There was no other guy. There was Mr. Udo, and that's it.
Right. If you were playing any venue from 1,200, 1,500 seat up to 20,000, yeah. If you're Whitesnake, Aerosmith, the biggest names, Celine Dion, he booked everybody. The stadiums, he was the guy, and luckily we were big enough at the time to get brought there from him a few times, and very elaborate meals and very expensive Japanese delicacies we had on that trip. I'll never forget. So yeah, going back, so he just says you're in the band, and I'm 24 years old at the time, skinny, long hair, as you can see in the picture, and I just got my teaching degree. I was looking for jobs to become a music teacher, and now now I'm touring with Riot, and after a few months, he asked me to stay in the band, and that's how I got started.
Let's take a look. This is an excerpt from Damien's film. We're going to bring Damien on in a bit.
Great.
Let's hear this excerpt.
Because their albums did very well in Japan. But so 1989, they're going to make their first tour to Japan. Mark told his cousin John, hey, Japan, I have to add a second guitar player. We have to do this right. We're playing, sold out 2,500 seaters, which was good for Riot. And so I got the first audition. And it wasn't even, we just started jamming. He showed me a few songs. He came to my house, and I don't know, he said, I'll see you next week. Within 3 weeks, I was in Japan on sold out shows playing Thundersteel, Privilege of Power, the old stuff. And I thought, it was amazing, we arrived in Japan, and it was like, we thought it was like the Beatles. There was hundreds of people in the airports with signs greeting us. We went to Sony Records, and the big glass windows had welcomed Riot. It was, they didn't expect it, and I didn't know what to expect.
And we went to Japan in '89. It was unprecedented. We went in '89, and 6 months later they asked us back again for like twice the money. It was like really exploding, and we got the award for best live band of the year.
Out of Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses, we were the #1 act, voted. And I said, I came home and, Mom, I made it. I made it.
That's great. That's great. Is even all these years later, is Japan still a place that you guys go back to, that you're just appreciated and loved?
Yeah, it's they've always it seems like we've done the best out of every country in the world. We've done the best in Japan, and they treat us like gold there, and the fans are just unbelievable. They always show up, and they're different types of fans. They can have a sold out place, and you don't hear a pin drop. They just sit like this, waiting for the show to start.
Yeah,
not like any other concert or any other country out of all the countries. And then they explode, and they sing every word, and they're very passionate, and I think so. We're going back July. I forget the date. Somewhere in this July, we're going back. I think it'll be my 18th or 19th trip back to Japan. So,
oh wow, 18 times. That's
like I could be off by 1 or 2, but that's what I counted. Yeah.
Is there familiarity now when you go over there? Like, oh, we're back in Osaka, or like, oh yeah, I know this place. I know.
Yeah, I can.
That's cool.
Some of the clubs and some of the restaurants. And,
sure.
And it's I'm looking forward to it. We haven't been back there since we were there twice in, I think, in 2018, twice in 2019, if I'm correct. Could be off by a year. And then after 2020, we have not returned there. So this will be our first time back since the whole debacle with 2020.
So you did the Thundersteel tour of Japan, and wasn't there a live record of Japan from that tour? Riot in Japan?
Yeah. So to put it all together, they were recording when they got the offer to go to Japan. They were recording the follow-up to Thundersteel, which is called Privilege of Power. So when Mark came over my house for the first time, he even showed me that was already, I think, being mixed and that's the song with the Al Di Meola song on it. So they said, all right, put that on hold. We're going to go to Japan. So they already had another album in the can.
I see.
And you could see, you heard Mark Reale talking on the clip you showed, saying it's unprecedented that, no band goes to Japan with, there's usually a year or two in between. We went back 6 months later. It's because the album came out like 2 months after we were there, and we were so successful on the initial Japan tour. Back then we had all, it's one thing to have fans like it, but when you have the media, the press, the radio stations, the DJs, we had everybody on our side. There was even a Japanese band that had a hit song with Warrior, off the first record. So it was pretty big.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Eventually, the first studio album you played on was this one, correct? Nightbreaker.
That's my first studio record. So
can you tell us a little bit about that process and first time in the studio with them?
So after Privilege of Power, then we released a live album from Japan from the 90 tour. I don't know if that came out in 92, and Nightbreaker came out in 94. We started writing songs right away, Mark and I, and it was unbelievable. I was new, and Mark just said, "Hey, can you show me, get some riffs? We got to put some together, music. Can you come up with anything?" And I was shocked that he was, he let me contribute a bunch of songs to that record, and he let me take his songs and twist them and turn them, and it was mostly him making my songs better, but I would come up with these little riffs, and the same thing with Donnie Van Staveren. That's Mark loved Donnie because Donnie had riff after riff, and Donnie wrote great songs too. So they were both great songwriters. I learned a lot from Mark, and even with Donnie, I'm learning from how Donnie writes songs. But that's my first record, and it didn't get released till '94. We worked a long time on it.
In retrospect, do you feel like it's aged well? You're happy with it?
I think it's great. It's
good. That's good. Whenever the answer is yeah, because when someone asks me about records I've done, it's like it's either yeah or no.
It's just with me, it's always I just wish we would have had the production that bands were having at the time. We never, even with the success of Riot, we did get a lot of money back for certain albums, but I don't know. The money wasn't spent by us. It was spent by the other people we spoke about.
Right.
So some of it sounds really good. And for me, I just always would wish the production was a little better. And, and I had a lot of learning to do back then. I think I had Mark with me, but he was teaching me how to be a recording guitar player. And it's a lot different when you're in front of 100 people or 1,000 people playing than when you're in the studio and the red light comes on and you got to just play sitting down in a chair with 3 people staring at you. So that took a little while for me to get used to. I just, it was a lot different than live. So I wasn't a recording artist that much. I did some demos with my other bands and stuff, but this was a real deal, a major studio in Manhattan. But I am very happy with the album still. I think some of the songs are great.
Yeah, it seems like you sort of you got on board the train, at a really good point there. It must have been an exciting time. Joel, any perspective to lend?
Yeah, 90s Riot is exceptional. The band went through a lengthy run with a great singer named Mike DeMeo.
Mike DeMeo's great.
Who I was first familiar with because he was the singer in Stuttering John's band, Josie Sang.
Josie Sang, yeah.
Yeah, way back. But yeah, the albums you did with Mike up front are just, I just love that era of the band. And there's one song in particular that, in my opinion, is the finest metal song of that decade. I'll go.
Wow, I'm curious to see which one that is.
Angel Eyes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, talk about guitar playing, talk about synchronicity with the musicianship. You can tell I'm into your band a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and that's one of the older DeMeo songs that we've done with Riot 5 live, and
Oh,
you know, the fans love it. It's a very difficult song to play, and I remember recording it. Yeah, we had a video of it, so that's off the album Inishmore.
Yep.
And that was a little later on. That was DeMeo's third studio record, I think.
Yeah, I think when he was fronting the band, that was a great time for Riot for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. Great music.
Good
Oh,
stuff.
we should mention real quick. Someone in the chat room asked, wasn't one of the members murdered? Unfortunately, Rhett Forrester, who was the singer on Restless Breed and Born in America, circa 82, 84. Yeah, he was, I believe, a victim of a carjacking that ended up that way. So,
oof, I didn't know that.
Rest in peace, Rhett.
Yeah, it was very sad. I got to meet Red when we were on tour with Tony Moore in the States. Got the real pleasure of Red Forrester, you know, because I knew about him. I heard so many stories about him. He was the epitome of a rock star, swagger, and he came back. We finished the show, and I think it was Texas, and all of a sudden Red Forrester walks back, and I was like, whoa, Red, you know, and I said, nice to meet you. I said, can you do me a favor? Can you sing the chorus for Gunfighter? Again, that's the song that I used to do with my cover band. And he sang the whole thing for me, and I was in awe because he was a present. You know, some people just demand attention when you walk into a room, and that's Red Forrester. He was like David Roth or like a Sebastian Bach when, you know, I mean, you know, the same thing. Just wild personality, you know.
He was like the American David Coverdale vocally.
Yeah.
And his solo record, Gone with the Wind, guys, give that a listen. For that era, one of the best records from that era for sure. Very unfolded.
Yeah.
I got to say that for me, doing my homework, Joel, and that era really spoke to me because I'm a big Whitesnake fan. I'm a big Coverdale fan. You know, and that era really spoke to me. I really enjoyed that era with Rhett singing. Good shit.
I just found that. Yeah, I'm new to this platform, so I just clicked on comments. So now I can see comments just as of right now. I just
there you go, buddy.
I know you mentioned it, but that's me with technology. So it's funny because when Red Forrester joined the band, it was going back, you know, to the rock world. So I always tell people my opinion. You know, you had Guy Speranza was very cutting edge, a high voice,
right?
And then Red Forrester comes in with very bluesy rock. And then we kind of did that again. And, you know, and Tony Moore comes into the band, very high pitched voice, very pushing the boundaries of how fast you can play and how high you could sing. And then Mike DeMeo comes in, and now it's back to the rock Whitesnake thing. So it's kind of like we did the fourth singer. So now for the fifth singer, Riot 5, you know, a bunch of friends, Donnie Van Staveren and our friends Bart Gabriel, help us find the current singer, Todd Michael Hall, who seems to be able to do it all. You know, so one thing that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's funny how it all worked out, and now we're just doing, especially our new record that'll be out in April. It's just a mixture, I think, of every Riot era. So we tried to incorporate every style, and it's going to be different for us.
I think it's safe to say, Joel, that Riot and Riot have had 5 great singers. It's like every fucking singer, because I'm doing my homework, I'm watching this, I'm going, oh God, this guy's gone. Like, oh boy, you know, things got to take a downturn now. Right. And I'm like, fuck, check this guy out. You know, like I didn't know there was 5 singers that were that good at that and you know that were that. You guys really, you know, 5 great singers, man.
And so many great musicians over the years too, going back to the classic days. I want to mention Lou from the original band. Right. He's passed on, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Lou. We lost Guy a few years back. You know, of course, Mark passed away, and Rhett. But great players. Kip Lemming, got to mention Kip. Sandy Slavin, Bobby Rondinelli was in Riot for a bit too,
Yeah.
from Rainbow and Black Sabbath, amazing drummer. Of course, the guys in the band now. I mean, like I said, there hasn't been a bad Riot song or a bad Riot album ever, regardless of the lineup. You know, obviously until he passed, Mark was the glue, and he was on all the albums. But yeah, talk about. I don't have to worry when the name Riot is on a record cover. I know what it's going to be, no matter who's been in the band. But let me ask you a quick question, Mike, about the current band. You mentioned earlier, you know, the personnel obviously fluctuated pretty regularly throughout Riot's history. But now with Riot 5, if I'm not mistaken, the 5 of you in this current lineup have been together for a good decade at this point, which is kind of like 50 years in Riot time, right? What makes this version of the band work to the point where you're on your third album and you've had the same guys for 10 years now?
Expectation, maybe. I'm joking. We all know what we're getting into. Back in the early days, Riot was always playing, you know, they went like this in the beginning. They went straight up, and they're playing with Rush, and they're playing with Sammy Hagar and Monsters of Rock. And when you're doing stuff like that, and you're broke and you're not making any money, and you know, you can argue, well, everybody spent money on the record, they spent this, and they got to recoup, but it gets very disheartening. So some people leave, and some people I heard were let go. And Mark was very passive, and maybe should have or could have or insisted that certain people stay. But, you know, again, I wasn't there for it. I'm like a fan just listening to stories. I've heard Mark story. I've heard everybody in the band, you know, Rick Van Torres, he tells me about it. Now, it's funny. I joke with the guys. I said, this is the longest, you know, 5 guys have been together with the Riot name ever. I mean, I don't think it's ever been 2 or 3 years when a member didn't change in Riot since 1976, you know?
Yeah.
So we know what we're in for. We don't expect to go out and make a lot of money. We all have our side hustle. We all own our businesses. You know, nobody works for anybody. I have a music school. Donnie has a business. Todd has a business. Frankie has a business, is now a school teacher, but he's looking to get away. So expectation, we're not going to go out there and say, hey, you know, we're not getting rich on this, so we can't do it. We're willing to, because we're all just fans of Riot. We're fans of the music, and we're honored to be part of it. So I think that's why we're still together. Unfortunately, Nick's been a little sick for a year now. He's been battling with seizures. So we're lucky to have John Reinheimer filling in for him now, and so we're still playing. So that's the only thing. Nick is not really doing the live shows with us. He's not ready yet. So we have another people who are excellent musicians. We had just a bunch of tours, and John Reinheimer's been doing good filling in for him, and hopefully we can have Nick back soon. We'll see when he's healthy.
And I know we're just sort of bouncing around here, but that's okay. We go where the horse leads us. And you guys are heading out. You guys have a bunch of great shows booked coming up, right?
Yeah, that's one of the tours. We got a bunch of other things. I don't know if I can't announce them yet, but they're being solidified. We have a lot of other pages like that to put up. But yes, in different parts of the world, and yes, but they're not. When the time is right, we'll announce them.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a year.
Absolutely. Let me take a sponsor break, and it's going to be a couple of minutes, Mike.
Okay.
And Joel, I'm going to take a little sponsor break, and we'll come back and let's talk about sadly the loss of Mark and the formation of Riot 5. Okay, and we're going to bring Damien on, and we're going to talk about this film. So I'll see you in a bit, Mike.
Great. Sounds good.
Joel, boy, am I glad you're here. You're like the color commentator, man. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And you know it's great because I really grinded, and like I love this band now. So it's not foreign to me what you're saying. Like I understand, I know that, I watched the doc. I listened incessantly to the music. This is a great band with a great legacy.
Dude, I've been doing this for so many decades now, this music journo thing. I try to keep my shit together. I'm fanboying the fuck out right now. You have no
That's
idea.
cool. Good. All right, let's do some sponsorship, and we'll come back, and we're gonna at least go till 5:30 today. So we're gonna air it out. So I'll see you in a bit.
Okay.
That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We're gonna go a little late today. We got a lot to talk about. Everybody that's asked questions. The last part of the show, we take questions from around the world. So you're gonna have to repost them. So let's do a little word from our sponsors.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Always macking, never lacking, and constantly chump slapping. Hey, let's talk about a couple of upcoming shows. Next up, 1 week from today, the infamous Dickie Barrett from the formerly of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, currently of the Defiant, will be on the show. A week after that, January 31st, Pete Stahl from Scream and Wool and a couple others will be on. Mike from I Hate God, February 4th. February 11th, Allison Brown, the LA-based photographer, just announced this the other day. Ooh, this one's going to be rich, let me tell you. Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, Vic DeCara from 108 Beyond Shelter, Inside Out, hello, and Burn will be on the show. Should be a really interesting guy. This is going to be great. Ryan Packer from Slapshot, Stars and Stripes, and a couple others, February 21st. CBGB's 50th anniversary with Dana Crystal, Now, this guy's a character. On Sunday, February 25th, and then March 3rd, Drew Thomas, From Bold Crippled Youth Into Another, Dead Heavens, and the Ex-Pollutants. That said, listen, I want to shout out a couple of new patrons. Thank you for getting on board. Thank you for supporting the show. Hey, also, if you're a patron out there and you have not got the book, it is free for you. So if you're a patron, the book is friggin' free. Make sure you reach out to me with your address. We've been through this already. Maybe there's a couple people that have slipped through, but a couple new patrons I want to thank. Hazar's Gigs and Karen. Welcome, Karen. I know people use aliases when they join when they support me on Patreon. So thanks, Karen, whatever that means. So Karen's probably like some dude somewhere who doesn't want me to know that they're supporting. Yeah, Whitney, send me your address. That's all. Yeah, well, reach out. Help me help you. I'm fucking sitting here like, here's a free book. Come on. What do you want me to do? Smoke it for you? Come on. Help me help you. That said, there's the PayPal address as well if you want to make a donation. There's also a super chat function, a great way to support the show when it's question time. Also, please, I'm told, give the show a like. I'm told that's a good thing. I 3 years of the show, but if you could give the show a like, that would be great. Also, follow us on Instagram at IG is Stone Films NYC. There's the Patreon address. Get the book for free. Also, just real you know what? I'll leave that for later. I'm gonna leave it for later. That said, everybody okay? Yo, you got to play Crash Fest this year. Yo, I got news for you. It looks like we're playing Crash Fest this year. Looks like we're going to be, it's pretty much, Chris, it's a done deal. So Incendiary Device is going to be out in San Francisco playing Crash Fest. We don't have the date yet. I don't think Mike has the date yet. So that's not locked in. Also, here in New York City tomorrow night, Incendiary Device is playing with the mighty Rebel Matic in Bushwick, Brooklyn, at a place called Then and Now. This is tomorrow night. We've been playing a lot. We're playing a lot right now. We're getting it out of our system now that since the record is out and everything. That's tomorrow night in Brooklyn, New York. So come on out. Check us out with the mighty Rebel Matic. Always a great show. Let's see, everything else okay? Yeah, yes, Lou Rizzo. Another great episode. Yeah. We haven't scored a dud in a while, so we're on it. That said, let's bring our co-host back on. Hey, Joel.
Hey.
Let's bring Mike from Riot and Riot 5 back on. Hey, man.
Hey.
Let me shuffle the cards properly. I like to be at the bottom of this melee. I want to bring Damien on and talk about the film, but I think before we do that, I want to set the table a little bit, and just cover a couple real quick things. And that would be Mike. The loss of when Mark passed, and what you guys had to deal with at that time. I mean, this guy was the founding member of the band, the only original member. You mentioned a little bit in the beginning. I mean, of course, it was traumatic. How did that play out? And then, how did you move on and decide, to keep going and with Riot 5?
Yeah, obviously, it was a very difficult time. Started a downward spiral in a little way. It was life-changing. So, we saw him getting worse. He had Crohn's disease.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Sometimes it's not even the Crohn's disease that kills you. It's all the medications, and they test you with this and they test you with that. And he was on a lot of stuff to try and help him. unfortunately, he got addicted to some of the medications they were given to him. And he started, for the last 2 years, we saw a little decline. It wasn't public. And then, so some of that, again, I don't want to go too much into the medication stuff, but that can do damage to your organs and your kidneys and liver. And, so we were recording it was called the Thunder Steel Reunion. We did a tour for 2 years. And then we made our last album with Mark called Immortal Soul, one of my favorite Riot records out of them all. And he was having trouble playing. I had to cover a lot of the guitar parts, most of them. But we were getting ready to go on tour, and he got sick 2 days before we were supposed to leave. So instead of canceling, Mark's father says, "No, Mark, let Mark recover. Do the shows." So we did a couple of shows without Mark, and while we're on a boat on a metal cruise, he passes away. And I don't know how I got the phone call, because we were out at sea and my phone rang. It's one of those mysteries. To this day, we don't know how my phone rang. We weren't that far out, but still, I had no signal, and I got the message, and we had to play. It was day off, so we played on the 70,000 tons of metal cruise the next day. I said, let's just do the last show, and we said goodbye, and I figured that's it. That was the last show ever. And then I got very close with Mark's father. He had a father and no other family, so I took care of Mark's father, who must have been maybe 84 at the time. Mm-hmm. Now he's 94. He's still going. Yeah. And he says, "No, Mike, you have to keep the band going." And I said, "I can't do it." I said, "There's no Riot without Mark Reale. Not only for me, the fan. Nobody wants that." And he says, "No, but his music is going to die if you don't continue this." At the same time, we have our bass player Donnie, looking for new singers, and the way he coped with Mark's death was by writing music. I didn't want to even touch my guitar. Donnie reacted in a different way. He wanted to write music. That's how everybody deals with emotions in a different way. So he started writing songs, and then when I told him what Mr. Reale was saying, he says, "All right, let's put some songs together. Let's see if we can continue." And then Tony Moore says, I don't want any part of it. And Bobby Jazombek, he didn't want any part of it. He just says, "No, Mark's gone." And so it was a big decision, and I was against it too. Donnie kind of says, "No, come on." I said, I don't know if we can do this. And so Donnie did a lot of work that I don't even know of. He went and found Todd Michael Hall. He took a Riot song off Immortal Soul that Tony Moore sang on. He had Todd Michael Hall sing on it, and he sent it to me. And I was like, "What are you sending me this for?" Like, it was so good, I didn't even realize it's not Tony Moore. It's Todd Michael Hall, our new singer. So then I talked with Mr. Reale a lot. He says, "Maybe if you could just shift the name a little bit." I said, "Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to continue." And, again, Donnie wrote the first album that we did, Riot 5. Donnie wrote 8 songs. I only wrote 4 songs for that one because Donnie was so far ahead of the game. And we came out with Riot 5. And after doing a few shows, all the shows went over great. I brought up Oliver. He was nice enough to, give us a shot, along with a bunch of other people who let us, who hired us to come play in over in Europe. And the fans were all behind it. So we put out our first record, and everybody loved it. And, even Oliver wrote, I remember we issued our first song. He wrote on one of the videos, "I can't believe there was a song, Take Me Back," off the first Riot 5 record. And he was, I don't, Oliver went off in the comments saying, "This is amazing. How can you write such a great song? Like, this is better than, as good as it gets." And we were very thankful for him. And so that's how it happened. And I couldn't replace Mark on guitar. I had people, regular names that you would know, calling me. And I says, "No, it's not right to replace him." I said, "I'm going to take over Mark's part." And my longtime guitar student, a kid who came to me when he was 7, I taught him till he was about 17. He was so good, I made him a teacher at my school. and that's Nick Lee. So I said, Nick, I just called him up. Hey, you have a passport? And he's like, yeah. Why? Do you have a passport? All right, well, we're going to Europe in 3 or 4 weeks. Learn these songs, and that was for the first show. That's how Nick got in the band. I brought Frank Gilchrist back, who was on Through the Storm. No, on the other album. Sorry, he was on 2000. Thank you. My brain and Army of One, and then got Frank back, Donnie, and we find Tom Michael Hall, and there's Riot 5 for you.
I jump in with a quick question.
Go ahead.
Let's go back a little bit to Immortal Soul. What was exciting to me as a fan was, as you mentioned, the reunion of the Thundersteel lineup. Tony Moore was back, Donnie was back, Bobby was back. What led to that idea to get that version back together? Was that a label idea, or was it something you guys had rolling around? And what did it take to get people like Tony back into the mix for that record in that era?
It started in 2000. Mark did a side project with Tony Arnell and Bruno Ravel from Danger, called Westworld, and he did a follow-up 2 years later. And so Paulie Orofino, he's the guy who recorded most of the DeMeo stuff from Millbrook Sound Studios near Poughkeepsie, Millbrook. He said, Mike, why don't you do your own side album? Mark's doing his album. And I was like, I don't know if I could do my own album. So I said, you know what? I'm going to call Tony Moore back. So I got the drummer from Meatloaf, John Michelli, and he has a big resume. And I was very close friends with Danny Miranda, Blue Oyster Cult. He left Faith and Fire to go play with Queen and Paul Rogers. Not that he left. We weren't a touring band or anything, but immediately following, I think that was the same time, right after the release in 2006, Danny went on to play with Paul Rogers and Queen. So I tracked down Tony Moore in 2000. I guess it was 2001, 2002. No, right before 9/11 happened. Most of the album was written about, the towers and stuff like that. And so I made an album with him. It didn't get released till 2006. So I was in constant contact with Tony, and we were still playing with Riot. And then, we did a show in 2006 or 7 with Mike Torelli singing, and Donnie Van Staven was there. And he said, I heard you with Tony, blah, blah, blah. Why don't we get back together? And Mark said, let's do it. So we did a reunion, and they included me because I was part of my connection with Tony. And of course, because I did the Thundersteel tour, and every Riot show since 1989 I've been on. So I was included, and they let me do the writing too for the Immortal Soul. I wrote 4 songs, the music 4 songs, and Donnie wrote 4 songs, and Mark wrote 4 songs, and we all came in and twisted each other's songs. And again, a very diverse album, and I really love it.
Yeah, me too. And Faith and Fire, that was your project with Tony, right?
We called it Faith and Fire. That came out in 2006, and that's how Tony Moore came back into the picture. And I think he got very excited. There's a whole writing process, recording process. You have an album out. Tony was you got a lot of people. They leave the music industry, and you're like, I can't deal with this. Everybody's taking our money. Everybody's all this work. The last person to get paid is a musician.
Right.
Even the roadies make more than that, like more on tour. We joke around. Sometimes the roadies and all the technicians and all the other people making the money first on top. So you kind of I want out. I don't care. But Tony, we brought him back in. He had the fire again. So, and he was into it. And Bobby Jazar back. He did a lot of things, and he was available, and he was into it. So it was good. Just time was right. It was meant to be.
Yeah, and a great album. To say goodbye to Mark with. I mean, obviously we all wish he were still here.
Of course.
But it was a strong statement from the band. powerful record. Still Your Man is an incredible song. You know, I know Mark.
Yeah.
I know his contributions were limited on that record due to the circumstances. But man, I think that, you know, I can't pick favorite Riot albums, you know, but I would say if I had to pick, you know, a top 3, that would certainly be one of them.
I agree with you 100%.
You know, I was thinking about this, and I want to bring Dame. You know, let's bring Damien on, and then he can be a part of the conversation as well. So that said, our next guest is a documentary filmmaker hailing from New York City. He's known for his documentary films, The Orange Chronicles, Freedom or Death, The Bitch, A Lady's Tribute to Metal, and of course, his most recent and ambitious work, Immortal Soul, a Riot tribute and concert film, a 4-part miniseries. Please welcome, coming at us from Munich, Germany, my fellow filmmaker, Damien Callady. Hey, man.
Cheers.
Skull, brother.
Prost. This is a great conversation. We can do another show on the film, man. This is like, I'm really enjoying this.
No. This is how we keep it moving, baby. But I wanted you to be a part of this, because I wanted to say to Mike and you know, Joel and I, we've talked about this, is like, for me, like at this point of the doc and at this point of the story, and the way I feel about situations like this is when a band moves forward at a juncture like this, and this is my personal thing, it's a celebration of the music. You know, that's really my take on it. You know, people say, oh, you know, why this guy's not in it and that guy's in it. And I look at it like it's a celebration of the music, and people want to hear the music, and people love the music. And, you know, like you said, you know, his father wanted to continue, and, you know, that's what it is. It's a celebration of the music. I don't get hung up, you know, when, you know, oh, this guy's not there, and how could they do this and that? I'm happy that the music's still out there and to enjoy. And you know, does that make sense, Damien?
Yeah. I mean, that's how, you know, I found out about them. And a lot of people did, because Riot 5 is playing their music now. And that's one thing you see in the documentary film, is just when I ask people, how did you discover Riot, you know, hear about Riot? I mean, half the people found out about because they saw them playing at a festival somewhere in Europe. So, I mean, it's all about hearing those songs played live. Otherwise, you know, they're sort of sitting on the shelf collecting dust wherever finds them. It's like, it's keeping the whole legacy alive. And that's one of the things I'm trying to tell in the film, is the story of how, you know, Mark was a mentor to both Donnie and to Mike. And they're sort of taking those experiences and evolving them and moving forward and building, you know, something new. Keep going. And, you know, like, they're having the success that, you know, Mark always wanted his music to reach people, and a greater amount of people. And you know, they're achieving that mission, you know.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Putting it out there to new generation, you know. It's like in the film, you'll see a lot of younger people talking about Riot. And, you know, for a long time, it was just people, you know, who grew up with them in the Fire Down Under during the classic era. Those are the only people who knew about them. No one in New York, really, that I know knew about Riot. I didn't know about Riot until, you know, end of 2021.
Makes sense. And here it is, Immortal Soul, a Riot tribute and concert film. How can people watch it, Damien?
So two chapters have been released, chapter 1 and 2, which covers, you know, the beginnings of the band into the late 80s. And those are on the NYC Rocks TV YouTube channel. The easiest way to get there is the website right there, nycrocks.tv. You can get to the YouTube channel from there, or just watch them right there on the website. There's a trailer and, you know, more information about the film there. And then we got chapter 3 coming out this Saturday. I've been doing like a live premiere, you know, so it's 8 o'clock German time, 2 o'clock New York City time. And so we have a live chat going on. And that's been kind of fun. And, you know, I'm just staggering them 1 week apart, kind of like old school style, where you have a week in between shows. to catch up or talk about it. And, been getting really good feedback. And this one coming up, it's about the DeMeo era in the 90s. And it's one of my favorite, from a filmmaker standpoint, I think this might be my favorite one because there's so much of Mark there that you really get a sense to see him in action behind the scenes and sort of get a feel for his personality. So I this one coming up is sort of special, I think. And
yeah, it's
the
really
music
heavy.
is not as well known, and there's some fabulous music too. And
Yeah.
we explored that also.
It was tough too. I got to see the first version of it, and it's very difficult. I mean, it's great, but it's hard to. I've never seen a lot of this footage, and you get to learn about Mark a lot. So Damien did an amazing job.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I really loved, one of the things I really loved about it was, you really feel your passion behind it, Damien. It's like, listen, I'm a documentary filmmaker, right? And I've done some big films, and well, relatively, right? And I'm like a documentary filmmaker junkie, right? I like it's what I watch. There's always one going on in the back, and I'll watch them all, and like the more obscure and weird and like bizarre, the better, because for me, it's like somebody's really passionate about this, so somebody's so passionate about this that they're and this particular one, your passion really comes through, Damien. So I commend you on that. And I love doc films that are just, powered by somebody that's like, I fucking love this band. I need to tell this story. This story needs to be told.
There you go. Look at that.
There you go. And it comes through. How did you and Mike connect? Was it how did that go?
I connected with him on Facebook initially, and I had an idea to do a mini documentary about the band because there is already a film out there put out by the Metal Voice,
right?
That also goes really into in depth about, it was put out about 6 years ago about the story. So I had held off doing it. I'd met when I was back in New York with Stephen Blush, who's in my last documentary, the Bitch movie, and he's also in this one. And he's like, you should do a film. And I'm like, there's already a film out there about, I don't know. But then I saw that Riot 5 was playing here near me in Germany. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just go there and get it like a European angle, do like a little mini documentary. And I reached out to Mike and just kind of told him I was interested in doing that. And, let's try to meet up. Maybe we can do an interview or just, say hello. And, that's sort of where it started. And then, we maintained communication, and Mike introduced me to some other people, and like Giles Lavery, who also worked on the Fight or Fall film from the Metal Voice. And, Giles gave me access to the Mark Reale archives, basically. So all of a sudden I had a lot more footage to work with, and it sort of snowballed. I didn't set out to do a 4-part piece, but it was supposed to be a mini documentary. But as like the universe kept bringing me different pieces to this puzzle, I'm just like, man, this is great. And I loved this feeling of like being on this like archaeological mission to find these like digital artifacts and finding more stuff through various corners of the internet or wherever it was. But Mike was definitely like helping me find this stuff. We even went to Mike's house in June, and he brought out a box of just from Mark's bedroom that just had all these historical artifacts and photographs.
A box, multiple boxes, right?
Yeah, multiple. There were multiple boxes.
I had a bunch of stuff, shelves and tapes and videos and Mark's films, and I have it in a box. I haven't gone through it really. It's tough for me to go through Mark's stuff, suitcases, contracts. I have it here. I haven't even gone through it. So after hanging out with Damon, now it's midnight. He said, okay, he's sleeping over my house. He's here's a beer with a refrigerator in it. Here's a refrigerator with the beer in it. I'm sorry. Here's a bunch of stuff. I'm going to bed. You know, what time do you go to bed? There, I was up till 4 going through this stuff after going for a night.
I've been there, fellow filmmaker. I have been exactly there. Like, here's my shit. You have a couple of hours. Fucking go for it. You know, I've been there.
So the next morning, what'd you find? And that's how I learned what I had in my basement. Because again, I'm busy. I'm always working. I'm always teaching. I'm always playing gigs. I'm always touring. And plus, it was a little personal. I didn't want to go in there, so it was good for me to have, you know, not only for the documentary, but I didn't even know I had contracts. I had.
I mean, that's
elaborate on that, Damon.
Yeah, you know, when you do a film like this, a project like it's like an archaeological dig. You know, you're just digging in with this. You know, you're digging in, and you know, for a freak, you know, doc fanatic like me, the stuff like The Contract, Mike. You know, seeing The Contract and those, you know, I know because when I watch these films, right, I see filmmakers reach crossroads, which I'm sure, Mike, musically, you think of the same terms. I see, oh, okay, they're coming to. I wonder what's he going to do here? You know, I know what I would do. So it's really interesting, you know, when I see fellow filmmakers kind of get to these junctures and where they take it. And one thing's for sure is that this thing is really detail oriented, and it's friggin' long, and it's long. If you love the band, there's no reason for it to be cut down. If you fucking love the band, then you're not gonna do. Oh, it's too long. You're gonna fucking love it, right? That's how it goes.
That was my attitude going to make this. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to try to sell this. This isn't going to be like something I'm going to try to market to like people who I'm trying to like convince them to like the band. This is going to be like a research project, you know, like an encyclopedia, like a video encyclopedia of the bands. It's going to be a deep dive because this is what I want it to be, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just like, I'm just going to put everything in there that I think is interesting.
Yeah. And one of the sort of like one of the showpieces of the doc, or one of the part of the infrastructure is this festival that you go to. And earlier on in the show, we had the founder of the festival. Tell us about this festival and where it was and sort of like your journey there.
So the Keep It True Festival, it's in Würzburg, Germany, and it's a traditional heavy metal festival. So a lot of the bands that were sort of cult bands from the 80s, they try to bring back and you know, give them a proper concert experience. You know, the people there are really into that type of traditional heavy metal, and there's like a crop of new bands that have started playing that stuff. Yeah, so this was the one where I saw Riot 5. And as you can see, Diamond Head was there, Paul Di'Anno, Tigers of Pantang, Satan, Grim Reaper. Well, Grim Reaper didn't play but yeah. So this festival was my first time there. Was filming, and it just had people from all over the world who were just like into this traditional heavy metal style of music, and I really wanted to, you know, capture this European angle of people liking Riot, and also, you know, show that there's like a younger generation that's into this music, that's into Riot 5, and you know, things keep moving and evolving, and it was really exciting, and I wanted that to be like a sub story in the film, because, you know, the main story is that carrying the legacy forward. But who is the legacy for? It's not for like the old guys; it's for like the new generation of people in there. So you know, the secondary story, which I hope comes full circle in chapter 4, is just like, you know, the fans appreciating, celebrating the music. You know, it's for them. If they weren't there, Riot 5 wouldn't exist. And they say that in the film. So, you know, trying to mesh all these stories together, it was quite the challenge.
Yeah. It's and what a passionate, vibrant crowd this festival draws.
Yeah.
And Mike, I kind of assume, like, at this point, you know, when you guys go out and even just looking at, I know, like you said, you guys are doing more dates, but even looking at what you have going on here on the Mean Streets tour, which is coming up in 2024, and where you're going, Poland, Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands, like Mike, are these sort of like the places where you guys are just still beloved at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot since, I don't know, since the mid 90s. We started after Japan, I guess 94, 96, we started hitting Europe. So a lot of these places I've been through, I don't know, 10, 15 times. Like the Sevener Club, Mannheim. I feel like I'm going down to my local bar when we're there, even though it's in Germany, what a great bunch of people there. Some of the clubs are new, some of the cities are new. So we just seem to, between Europe, Japan, and now, South America too, we just have a nice group of followers who love the music. And, we're trying to bring that to the United States, but it's hard to draw metal fans, and, people just don't know about Riot enough to, people from all the states say, well, how come you're not coming here? And, it's just not cost effective yet. So we're trying to do some festivals and get on things with other bands, but it's always Europe, Japan, and now South America, and which we might be going to Australia, but that's not set yet. We're talking after our Japan tour, but hopefully something like that can work out.
And what's incredible is the fucking band rips. Like, right, this band you have right now fucking rips, man. I mean, it's like I said before, let's see what they're doing now. They probably slowed down a bit, or
No.
the fucking band the singer you have is fucking ripping, man.
Yeah, I do have some like local friends and that know me locally. They don't know me as Mike from Riot. They just know me from Mike from playing the clubs or the bars or playing I never stop playing, even when I'm not on tour at Riot. Multiple bands, and I play in the New York Bee Gees. I do a lot of different things, but for some people, I'm not gonna like heavy metal. Anybody who comes to a show, I don't care, if you never heard a metal song in your life, everybody loves it. I mean, we're able to play heavy metal music, but with the talent up there, with Frank Gilchrist on drums is a complete beast. Tom Michael Hall is a beast. Donnie Van Staven on bass is a beast. Yeah, I mean, he's playing these lines. I'm struggling on the guitar, and he's playing them on the bass. And then you got Todd Michael Hall. I said that already. And Nick Lee is just a little quiet, shy kid. He gets on stage, and he's an animal.
Now, Nick
on stage.
Nick is, like you said, one of your former students, right?
There he is. Yeah. So, he joined when he was 24, just like I joined Riot when I was 24. So now he's 34. 10 years ago he joined.
Yeah, and I think an interesting thing to note. And you know what? Here, let's look at this excerpt from Damien's film real quick.
What it do? Welcome to.
Excuse me.
Riot, calling themselves Riot 5 after the death of Mark Reale, was really the proper thing to do.
People have died, and Mark Reale obviously died himself, but music lives forever, and I love that there is a continuation of Riot, and that they're still playing, and that they respect all of the eras, and obviously they have new music to promote, but at the same time they touch on all of those past albums as well, and it's an excellent show. And
I think they still rock as much now as they did back in the times.
Yeah.
I love Riot 5 a lot. These guys are true. They do what they love, and they carry the torch for Riot.
The fact that Riot 5 is pulling off really speaks to the power of what Mark Reale started in 1975. But the fact that they carry on the spirit means that they love the music more than anybody. That's incredible. That's incredible.
I just love the music. I really believe in it. It's not a job. I do it because I want to, and I just feel like I'm part of it. It's a big thing. I'm very proud to be part of Riot. With Riot 5, I just try and take on Mark's part, and I'm trying to be Donnie's partner the way him and Mark were partners.
Mike kind of brings more like a Blackmore kind of influence, and kind of like still souped up, but it's more like rock stuff. and Donnie's more like power metal.
Yeah.
So it kind of blends together. We try to capture like both worlds.
So we combined, and then it comes out great. So when I write my more power metal stuff, he decorates it with his, licks and dual leads like old school.
He's got to be good songs. It can't just be a bunch of fast guitar licks. Even when I write a guitar solo, I'm like, no, my solo has to be a song within a song.
It's a song within a song. He used to say, your pre-chorus is a different song, your chorus is a different song. The guitar players are, the solos are a different song. And it's true. That's why a lot of his solos too, you can sing along with them.
The guitar solos are actually mini songs in himself, a theme and a beginning and an end. And so that's what we're trying to stay true.
They are still delivering true metal.
And lots of these old bands where, the new stuff they put out, yeah, you'll listen to it, but you're not expecting much because, they're old dudes and all of the best stuff's behind them. But with this situation, yeah, it's Riot, old band, but new guys, they still got all the good, creative juices going.
The two last records are great, really great.
I agree.
Yeah, really.
So,
I like them very much.
You know what I like, Mike, is that when you brought Lee, right? Is it Lee?
Nick Lee.
Nick Lee. When you brought Nick on, what I really like is you didn't throw him to the wolves. You stepped up, right? And basically took over Mark's lead parts, right? Like Lee kind of came in on your parts, so you kind of shielded him from the brunt of the blast, which was a smart move, man. Really smart move.
There's nobody could replace Mark Reale. He just, he's an old Montrose blues Rick Derringer, mixed with technique and one of the best vibrato. I always say there's the vibrato on that guitar. Michael Schenker, Brian May, and Mark Reale. I can never make it as good as Mark did, but I try my best, and people I think would be more forgiving with me trying to do Mark's parts than having especially a young kid come in and trying to be him. So
and he's a great friggin' player too, man.
Oh, he's a monster player.
He's a great player.
He could do things I can't do. Yeah, he can. Yeah. He's an acrobat.
Yeah,
in many different ways on the fretboard and running around the stage too.
Yeah,
he adds a lot of excitement when I'm playing. I could feel the stage going up and down because he's kicking it so hard. I swear to God, it's hilarious.
It's great to infuse some youth into the band every now and then.
Oh, we're up there playing, and I'm looking at Nick, and I just start laughing to myself, and people see me. I'm just looking at my little boy over there, and he's
that's great.
Yeah, we miss him. We hope he gets. He's got some things he's got to go through, and hope he can come back soon. I'll say that.
Joel, any perspective on sort of this era or moving towards the future?
Well, yeah, in a couple weeks when the new album comes out, Mean Streets, Riot 5 will have 3 full studio albums under its belt. So you have the Riot 5 material. Of course, you want to honor as much as possible the eras that came before. What is the level of difficulty, if any, in figuring out a set list in 2024 to bring out on the road?
It's the most difficult thing. It's funny. I just printed up a set list that Donnie recommended. We're trying because how do you fit 30, 40 years worth of stuff and pick 20 songs out of it? It's so difficult. We do look at where we're going sometimes, and if we think it's going to be an older crowd, we'll try and do more older stuff. But it's hard to predict. I mean, we're always wrong. When we get to a show, here's a set list. Then we got people who we meet backstage. They're all calling out songs that we didn't put on, and we can never get it right. Some of the Japan shows, I mean, we'll play 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And we still can't even get to every album. Yeah, so It's a very difficult thing, and there's certain songs that we can't do a Riot show without. You know, we're saying, should we leave Thundersteel off tonight? No, that's not going to happen. Should we leave Warrior? Should we leave Swords and Tequila? Like, you can't do a Riot show without certain songs, and it's very, very, very difficult to come up with a set list.
Do you do anything off the very first record?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We've done half the record at different shows.
Wow.
Yeah, and off second record, Narita, and we've done the whole Fire Down Under is the big record from 1981, the third album with Guy Speranza. We've done concerts where we do the entire album. We've done the whole Thundersteel album at some concerts. We try and change it up. We need 4 hours to play. I mean, to do it justice, but
yeah,
there it is. That's Fire Down Under. Yeah,
yeah. We haven't really mentioned this, but this, of course, is. Go ahead.
Since that album cover is on the screen, let's go back to a question at the very beginning that turned up in the comments. Mike, what is the significance of the seal, which has been on many, many Riot album covers?
Has many names. The Mighty Tior. Tior is just by taking the R and T off Riot and switching it. And we call him Johnny. We refer to him as Johnny in some of the songs. They were just looking for a mascot, something catchy back then. And again, I wasn't around back then, but the story goes that at the time in 77 or 78, there were seals being clubbed. It's a crazy story. Seals being clubbed in, I guess it was Canada. And so they, maybe Damien, can you expand on this?
It was revenge of the seals. It was their revenge on the human race for the human race clubbing them. I mean, they were clubbing baby seals. So
yeah, for their fur, right?
Yeah. So in the first album, The Rock City, you see, the seal with like New York burning in the back, and yeah. So that was the idea. It was just like revenge on the human race for, the cruelty that was given to the baby seals.
It's won a couple of awards for the album with the worst cover but the best music. So that's come up a lot. But we stuck with it, and you got to see the new album cover. Oh my God, he's riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, I just put it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've upgraded the seal since that like cutout there. Now he's all jacked
and
badass.
And he might make an appearance in our new video, maybe.
That's the editor.
Count Ralphus says, now we know the deal with the seal. So
it's in chapter 1. If you watch chapter 1,
yeah,
we do cover that in the beginning, because that's a question you see all the time. People are like, "What the fuck is that? What's the deal?"
Hey, fellas, let me take a quick sponsor break here, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world, and we'll bounce the ball back and forth for another 20 minutes, a half hour. Okay, I'll see you guys in a minute. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Very action-packed show today. I hope you are enjoying it at least half as much as I am. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Upstate Records, and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the styling for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Roulet, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Last but not least, come on now, 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them, ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, I want to mention a couple of upcoming events. Yes, events. This Sunday in New York City, it is our New York Hardcore Chronicles Back to the Roots music series continues at the Barry Electric Sunday free all ages matinee with Tension, Winterwolf, Redwoods, Dragons at Noon, and the Give Ups, DJ Spike Polite. It's this Sunday. Come on down, bring that nagging wife, bring that booger-eating kid. Everybody is welcome. It's free. If it's free, it is for me. Another flyer for the same show this Sunday in New York City. February 18th in the Barry Electric. The series continues. Free all ages Sunday matinee. Roberto's birthday bash. Non-residents. Incendiary device. It's gonna jump off tonight. The Long Wait with ex-members of SSD, Slapshot, and Wrecking Crew. Crazy Eddie and Neck Scars. Hey, Sunday, April 7th, I am moderating the book event. Ray Capo from Shelter and Youth of Today, From Punk to Monk book event at Generation Records. That's Sunday, April 7th. Sunday, April 21st at the Barry Electric, Fahrenheit 451, Kings Never Die, Brick by Brick, the Car Bomb Parade and Faded Line, free all ages Sunday matinee. We just announced the complete lineup for this in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. That's right. Saturday, May 25th, Memorial Day weekend. The mighty Rebelmatic, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. Non-residents, Cartel, and Scott Helens, Guitar Me of One. So it's all going down. Get off your ass and come on down and support these events, most of them being free. Any questions you have for our guests, please post it in the chat, and we'll put it up there. Once again, the Patreon page. Please join Patreon and support the show. There's a $2 tier, a $5 tier. Get the book for free, lots of exclusive content. Blah, blah, blah. Just support the friggin' show. What do you want me to do? What do I got to do? That said, let's clear the deck. I think I covered everything. Hope I covered everything. Let's bring back our co-host Joel, filmmaker, coming to us from Germany, Damien.
Riot, calling them.
Whoa, Skipper. And Mike Flyntz. Hey, man. That said, let me get everybody where they should be. Let's see what we got here. You know what I wanted to let me start with a little something. Mike, who is this guy and how does he play into things?
Oh God, Lou. Yeah, Lou was Mark's first guitar partner in Riot. Lou was on the first record. Great guitar player from Long Island. I think he was from Queens actually.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was doing shows. I ran into a lot of people that knew him, in the last 20 or 30 years of me playing on Long Island, and I finally got to meet him maybe about 9-10 years ago. And great guitar player. Super nice guy. Anybody knows Lou knows what a great guy he is. He was, and so I said, let's get Lou on some shows. So I asked, hey, are you interested in doing some shows? All right. He was like, yeah.
Wow.
So we took him with us, and we did some old school stuff. We brought him out for 3-4 songs, and we brought him to Japan one time.
Wow.
We played in Brooklyn. We did I don't know how many shows, but
is that right? Ray Hogan says Defenders of the Old Fest.
Yes. Lou was there. Maybe 6-7 years ago it was. Yeah. So
I see. And he was literally on the first album, Rock City.
Oh yeah. And
thank you, Damien. Yeah. So
yeah, he was on the first record, and then he was one of the early people. Like they got let go, and then came Rick Ventura, who played on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th records. And he was part of that revolving lineup, and he doesn't know what happened. I don't know why. I just got fired by the management, and I can go.
Yeah, you talk about that. You talk about that in the film. How Yeah, the management and just sort of, you know, going wherever they think should go, and took
Lou
some.
didn't want to sign the contract. Lou didn't want to sign that contract. That was part.
Did he sign it? Did he sign it?
I think he did sign it, but
Right.
it was because everyone was doing it. So
he was asking too many questions, basically. You know, I don't know how much time you want to spend it, but yeah, he was just asking too many questions. Right?
Yeah.
Where's the money? Where's this? Wait, what's going on here? And you're gone. You know.
Yeah, they don't like when you ask too many questions. You know.
As a player, he was phenomenal. Again, with the vibrato, and I had a great time, and we did become, in the short time we had, the few years we had together, we became friends, and we admired each other's playing, and it was just heartbreaking. When I don't even like saying the name, but in 2020, what happened? Early on, I was in the supermarket with my gloves on and my mask because everybody was petrified. You can't touch and I got a call, and I remember standing right by the oranges. I think it was Bart Gabriel. I got a text from Germany. Is it true about Lou? I said, what are you talking about? I called Rick Ventura, and that's it. That's how I found out, and I think it was the second week of the lockdown, and you have to go get food, and we were all nuts back then.
Yeah.
You got to shield yourself. You got to do this, and right in the supermarket. That's how I found out, and it was I felt bad for his son Alex, and he was just a real sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone knows or Drew knows that Lou passed away from COVID early on.
I did not know it was COVID.
Yeah.
He went to the NAMM show. I think this is the story I know. I could be wrong, but the NAMM was in January, and in February, or it was February, early March, whatever it was, right in the beginning.
Yeah. Paulie Pork Chops Vids asks, Mike, what's your favorite place to tour other than Japan?
Oh, God, that's so hard. I can name different cities and countries, and they're different for different reasons. Spain, the people are so passionate in Spain. It's Barcelona and Madrid is beautiful. South America was a trip. That's a wild place. And Germany, that's serious metal fans right there. If you go to Germany, so I hate to just duck the question and say I love them all, but they're all good for different reasons. And at a Riot concert, all the Riot fans, if you're at a Riot show, you're very passionate for the music. I mean, they all get emotional. It doesn't matter where we are. If you're at a Riot show, because I always say we're underground, and so this parent with their kids on their shoulders, and the kids are 9 years old singing the words. So I don't want to pinpoint one place and say which is my favorite. I might like a place for the food or for the beer or for the I can't eat sushi anymore. When I go to Japan, it's the best sushi. So even if I go to a great sushi place, I don't even want it because I had sushi 19 times, and
I remember going to Japan with Biohazard, and the promoter took us to down some dark alley through the back to some sushi place. It was like where you say what you want, and they pull the fish out of the thing. They're living, swimming around, and they pull it out right in front of you, and they cut it up. And the pieces of sushi were like the size of your fist. They were fucking huge, and it was quite an experience. Really incredible.
So a lot of the places around the world are amazing. I can't forget Greece. Talk about passionate.
Yeah, I would think so.
One of my favorite. I have a lot of friends in Greece, and
I want to see Riot 5 play. Damien, I want to go to that festival something like that festival you went to. There was so many passionate people there, man. I'm Mike. I'm really excited to come see you play, man. I really am now. If nothing else, through this whole exercise, you won one great fan in me.
The film has achieved its mission.
You got me.
The word.
You got me.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, as a fan of Riot and the many different eras, it's surprising how the band hasn't caught on more. And you know, we can try and come up with different reasons why: the management, the music style, the singer changes, but it is what it is, and it doesn't stop me from wanting to write new music and wanting to go out and play. So,
yeah,
that was. I just want to add that was one of the main motivators for me to make this film. Is like, I can't believe I haven't heard about this band. I can't believe like no one else knows. How is this possible? Why don't I know about them? And just being like, okay, I can do something that can really like present their story and their music to people in a more accessible way, because their music over time wasn't really presented or properly pushed out there to the world over the years. Now with internet and stuff, that they're getting more attention, and it just seems like felt like the timing is good, between where Riot 5 is now and coming out with the new album and putting this film out there, telling their whole story. And yeah, the mission is to just kind of like be like, wow, this band is awesome. Look at this music that was created over this 40, almost 50 years now, and that's still going on. And it's just like it's amazing. It just blew me away,
Joel, any perspective?
I apologize if you guys can hear the snowblower behind me outside. It's winter in New England, folks. Welcome to the party. I wanted to quickly mention a couple of things. One, I want to bring up the album, The Privilege of Power, the 1990 Riot album. What a remarkable record that was. I mean, talk about the right album at the right time. I mean, metal was expanding. There were a lot of very interesting, eclectic records coming out around that time. You had Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, Fate's Warning, Perfect Symmetry, Faith No More, Soundgarden, Prong, Voivod came out with Nothing Face, a different shade to metal. And I put that album that Riot did right in the mix of that. The band had the Tower of Power horns on the record. Just an expansive, progressive metal masterpiece. So I want to, put a plug in for that record. It's a very unique listening experience within the overall, history of Riot. Mike, I know you were kind of in the mix for that record. You were touring with them at the time. When you look back today, what do you think about that album's in the overall, discography of Riot?
Yeah, so I joined, as I said, for the Thundersteel record, but that album was being put out. It was already recorded, I think it was being mixed and stuff, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because it was a mixture of everything. You had Joe Lanterna, you had the Brecker Brothers, you had Tower of Power. I mean, we were doing, live, we were playing full heavy metal songs with a horn section. It just, Mark was always just trying different things. And it was a very diverse album. You got some real heavy, the heaviest Riot I've ever heard is probably on that album, and some of the most pop, like a song like Marianne. So it was very diverse. And, it had a weird thing. In between each song, there was like a minute of radio commentary that Steve Loeb, the producer, put on. And it was kind of weird. A lot of people didn't like that. Like, you would have to listen to a radio announcer, so those of you who know the album, it was very hard to listen to, because every song had 45 seconds up to 90 seconds of just stuff in between every track. So other than that, the album is a masterpiece to me.
Yeah, that record was my entry point to Riot, actually.
I heard Racing with the Devil on a Spanish Highway, and it was one of the songs I first heard just like on YouTube as I was starting to explore Riot. And I'm like, oh, man, who is this? These guys can just play. They're just tearing it up.
Yeah, that's the song I referenced before when I first met Mark, and that's an Al Di Meola song, the jazz guitar player, that they covered, and I already knew that. I knew it on my own, and I was shocked that you're doing a cover of that, and I played it for Mark, and that's one of the things that helped me get in the band. When he saw me play that, he said, "Okay, you could do all this fast stuff."
Okay, here's one, John F. Hey, buddy, thank you for the super chat and thank you for supporting the show. Mike Cheers from West Hempstead.
Nice.
What electric guitar don't you have that you really want? So this is great because we could talk about we could do a little gear talk for a second. So is there anything out there that you're leaning towards that is sort of coming into your orbit?
I'm blessed. We never got a lot of money with this, but I've made enough where I have 3 or 4 Stratocasters. I have 3 Les Pauls. I have another one being built for me, a 59 spec. I have all my Floyd Rose, the whammy bar guitars. I have various Kramers, various Van Halen models. A new one I got for recording is this ESP with a special Evertune bridge. Helps me keep the guitar in tune when I'm tracking, no matter where I play.
Yeah, this.
I just bent it out of tune. That's funny.
Let me interject that this Evertune bridge, a lot of people don't know about this yet. This is an incredible invention. Tell us about it.
It's I've only had it for 2 weeks. I got to tune it with an Allen wrench. It's a series of there's a whole cutout back here, and each string has a whole system of pulleys and springs. And when you tune the guitar, the springs learn where the correct tension is, and it sets it. So the problem with guitars is if you could play a chord here, when you go all the way up the neck, it could be slightly out of tune because the guitar is not a perfect instrument. And a lot of times when you're tracking records, we'll stop the tape and we'll have to actually retune the guitar to be in tune here. And if I want to do a chord up here, but as you can hear, this is in tune no matter where I play it. So anyway, I'm using this I'm tracking not Riot songs, but I'm doing some other tracking with this guitar. I'm getting used to it. But I have have a couple of Mark's guitars here. Can you see the guitar there? That's Mark's 55 Les Paul Jr.
Wow.
And that's the only guitar I have for Mark. We sold all the rest.
Wow. Excuse me. Wowee. A 55 Les Paul Jr.?
I sold his 59 Les Paul for 6 digits and, to help fund, Mr. Reale. So that was the only one I was able to scrape up enough money for and purchase from Mr. Reale. And so I got a couple of Mark's amps and but to answer the question, I pretty much have, I have a Gypsy Jazz guitar. I have a Martin acoustic. I have a beautiful Gibson acoustic. My nylon string guitars, there's one there I brought to Japan. Thank you for asking the question, but I'm blessed to have, I think, almost every guitar I need. And until next week, I'll want something else.
Matt Gray, incredible drummer who plays on, he was in the band, he was in Antidote with me, he was in Antidote NYHC, and he was in Incendiary Device and plays on a lot of the new record. Big Riot fan. Oh, cool. Big Riot fan says, Armor of Light is a fucking iconic record. I can't wait to pick up the new one. Any shows coming up in the New York City area?
No, we're trying to come up with something. We might have to do it on our own because the way it usually works, you get an invitation from a promoter for either a show or for a group of shows or a mini tour or a full tour. And it's usually promoters get in touch with rec companies or management. And it's just, we don't have any invitations right now. So we might put together just on our own, just for the local fans. It's been a few years since we played, I guess Revolution was the last time Riot played.
Wow.
In New York. You remember, I don't know if you know the club Revolution. That one had
in Amityville.
Right, yeah, it's down the block from my house. That was the last
of course.
time.
That place closed during the pandemic, right?
Around that time.
So, you know what they're renovating actually to make it bigger is Amityville Music Hall.
Oh yeah, I can walk there from my home.
They're doing Hatebreed's playing there 3 shows, and then they're right, and then they're
playing there
3 shows sold out in an hour, and then they're closing it down. I guess they bought the place. I guess they bought the storefront next to it, and they're expanding it.
I didn't know that. Wow.
That could be the place.
Yeah, it's a very tiny place. I mean, I don't.
It's going to be bigger.
It's 100, not even 100. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's going to be bigger.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah. Well, I sort of. This is addressed in Damien's film. Manel says, Mike, do you think that many people in the early 80s, when they heard the name Riot, just assumed you were Quiet Riot? And this is somewhat addressed in the film.
Yeah, I've been getting it my whole life. You know,
Yeah.
I just, you know, not unless you're a real music lover, do you know who Riot is? And it was tough for Riot, you know, because Quiet Riot came out of California, I guess it was, and they got a couple of hits with with a couple of cover songs, and Randy Rhoads was in Quiet Riot, right? I mean, before Ozzy, and it's just one of those things. You had to have 2 bands come out near the same time with such a close name, and they were on MTV, and All Right was only on a little bit with Blood Streets. So
let me ask you. I think we'd be amiss to not mention one of your other projects. Could you tell us a little bit about Cleanbreak and who's involved, and just give us some perspective on it?
Yeah, I got a call from my friend Giles, who was mentioned before. I think he was the one who recommended me. They said they were putting together a super group. So I laughed and said, "What are you calling me for?" And they said we're gonna have 2 guys from Stryper, Robert Sweet, Perry Richardson, and it's gonna be the singer from one of the American Idol shows, James Durbin. And I said, "Oh, I remember when James Durbin was on. He played with Zach Wilde was on American Idol with him."
Talk about Quiet Riot. Wasn't he in Quiet Riot for a minute?
For a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember watching him live back then. Not that I watched the show too much, but I remember seeing it and saying, "Wow!" And then Judas Priest was on American Idol. That was all with James Durbin. So Frontier Records and Alessandro Del Vecchio is the producer, and he called me. I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And you want to write a couple of songs for it? So I put I contributed a few songs, and then I did the record, and people loved it, and doing my second one now.
Fantastic.
Presently recording the follow-up.
Gotcha.
Great album.
And just one more for me, and then Joel, I'm going to ask if you have anything. But tell us about your guitar teaching and your passion. Yeah, a little bit about that.
I got a plug. Look at this. Yeah.
Hey man, we do it all here, baby.
I got a new sign now. It's much more metal than that, but yeah. I started teaching when I was in college. I told you I went to Nassau and Hofstra, and I just a place near those colleges, a place called Guitar Master School of Music. I was what year was it? It was 38 years ago. Whatever, I was 21 years old. I was already teaching privately, but I got a job there and worked for the guy for 8 years. And then I purchased the business in 1994, and I moved it to Copeg, Long Island, half-mile from Amityville, from where I am. And I give music lessons there, and I hired a couple other teachers, some piano, some bass, and that's it's my love. I love a lot of players teach because they have to, but I actually enjoy it. I just love sitting with the guitar and sharing.
That's awesome.
And I love when I can make someone's light bulb turn on. So I actually I'm not just saying, I really enjoy teaching. And now this is my 29th year at this current location, and I was there 8 years prior, so 37 years working for Guitar Masters, and now owning it for 29. And that's where Nick came to me. I had a lot of people come through in 29 years. Some people have made it a lot bigger than I have. So,
Is that right?
Yeah. But
Tammy Wolf says, and you're an amazing teacher.
that's my wife. Thank you, honey. No, I need my father and my brother to come on and tell me how great I am. No, thank you, sweetheart.
Oh, listen, if nothing else, I love doing this show because I always have a couple really good laughs.
Yeah,
you know, that's good stuff. Well,
you,
Tammy,
honey.
damn straight he is, Tammy. You know, Joel, anything? We got Mike on the show, Joel. Anything you need to ask him?
Well, it's funny. I was just looking through my notes and questions, and I had dozens of questions which were organically addressed throughout the show. So I'm actually pretty good. But what I will say, Mike, is, you know, as a fan of the band, you know, when Mark died, obviously it was tragic that he left. But, you know, it was sad, too, that the music was going to go away. At least that's what we all thought initially. So I cannot thank you and the fellows enough for keeping the band going through Riot 5. The material you've done under that name stands up to the legacy. You're honoring the band and keeping people like me thoroughly entertained to this day. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that, you know, it hasn't always been an easy run for the band, but you guys are still at it and you're still producing great music. So it's just been an honor to have this conversation with you. And Damien, thank you for doing the film. I think the accolades are long overdue for this band. So I'm happy to see in 2024 the band's in a good spot, and you know there's a great movie now to represent things. So more power to all of you.
Thank you, Joel. I really appreciate everything you said, and I can't say enough thanks to Damien. I mean, he just he got into this over his head, right, Damien? Yeah, I can't thank you enough. I mean, we're just so lucky. I mean, what kind of band can have somebody come along and do all this for them, you know? And he's not asking for anything, and I hope some way he gets well rewarded for this in some way. If it's not monetary, maybe. You never know how life is. You know, if you work hard, it always pays off in some way, is what I always tell everybody. So thank you, Damien.
You're welcome. And it's been like a real pleasure to just sort of put this thing together. That's why I put so much into it. It's just been really enjoyable and satisfying and, you know, awesome to just explore this history and, you know, put these puzzle pieces together in a way that I think, you know, like really can illuminate the music and the story. So, you know, I mean, I just love it all. I love everything about it, all the different eras, and especially what Riot 5's doing now. So, you know, I'm happy to be some small part of it and just try to preach the word about Riot because more people need to know.
Thank you.
It's like I said, it's an archaeological dig, you know, doing docs and making the art is the joy, right? I mean, sure, it's nice to get some accolades, but the joy is the process, really, you know, for the most part, you know, and at least, you know.
And my kid loves Riot too. Like he listens to the music and
was that your kid? Was that your kid? Was that your kid in the film?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. He did an amazing job, and I think every Riot fan is gonna love it. And hopefully there'll be a lot of just music lovers maybe don't know about Riot. Well, I think they'll love it all. It's Donnie and Nick. Yeah, that's an early picture.
And that's Donnie on the left.
That's Donnie Van Staren. Yes. Yeah.
He is great in the film. He is great, and I really he's really great when he, you know, towards the end of the film. His perspective was really great. You know, he really heartfelt, man. It was emotional, and he really you know, puts things in perspective in a really great way. I really liked what he had to say.
Yeah, Donnie was there in the crossover from like the early Riot to the new Riot. he was the pivot right there in 1984, 85, 86.
Right.
And he was in the band Narita that when Mark went to Texas. And Donnie's thank God we have Donnie. You know, Donnie's the one who keeps the band rolling. Donnie does the gigs, the booking. He does all the forms, all the this, the that, all the stuff that nobody wants to deal with. Donnie does, and he works hours a day on it. Actually, he's
different people bring different things to the party, and that's what makes the whole. And one thing I've learned about bands, being in bands and working with bands, is, you know, you can't have four guys doing the same thing. It doesn't work. The best thing that works is responsibility gets delegated and different people do different things and they hold up their end of the bargain. To me, I've seen many a successful band, you know, operate under that guise, you know.
Yeah, there would be no Riot 5 if Donnie didn't do what he did, you know.
Yeah.
So,
you know, it's funny about Donnie because I have kind of a small world connection to him in some way. You mentioned that band Narita that Mark did in Texas in the mid 80s. That was essentially Mark and the guys from a band called S.A. Slayer, which I believe stands for San Antonio Slayer, which was done to differentiate themselves from the California Slayer. S.A. Slayer, in addition to having Donnie on bass, had a guy named Bob Catlin on guitar. I've been in a band with Bob.
Oh, wow.
In the past. So, you know, I'm really into S.A. Slayer too. I think that was a great early 80s metal band as well. And, you know, of course, Donnie followed Mark, you know, into the new incarnation of Riot for Thundersteel. But just thought to mention that, you know, we're all kind of connected in some way. If you stay around long enough, you'll end up knowing everybody.
Exactly. That's what it is. Yeah.
Right
on.
on.
Don't give up.
Hey, that said, Mike, I know you have a student, and you're following. Is that right? I thought I saw that Dave McClain of Machine Head and Sacred Reich was in. I thought that was him. I wasn't sure when I saw the doc. I was like, I thought they were a little bit old. I didn't realize that was him. Okay,
He was just at one of our recent shows.
Yeah, he was in Machine Head. He was in Machine Head for many years.
Yeah, we played Michigan a few months ago. Dave showed up. He was backstage with us. Yeah, great drummer.
Mike, I know we got to cut you loose. We don't want you to be late. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anybody you want to thank or anybody you want to shout out?
I thank my wife for putting up with me and putting up with this crazy business. You know, touring is wild, and Tammy puts up with me, so I appreciate it. And I have a great family, so I couldn't be more thankful. You know, again, Damien, my band members, Giles Lavery, you know, everybody. I'm Oliver. I'm forgetting a lot of people, but I have everyone to thank. You know, to be this age and still be doing this, you know, I just consider myself blessed and lucky. You know, I'm gonna go dance around. I'll be 59 next week, and I just can't believe this is still going, and I'm just thankful. You know, what do I have to complain about?
I'm so happy for you, bro. I mean it. I just hearing your story and the story of the band. It's a great story, and I wish you all the best. And you're welcome back here anytime. And also, if you guys ever want to play here in Manhattan, if you want to play the Bowery Electric, it's a block away from the original CBGBs. It's right next door. It's right next door to where the great Gildersleeves used to be.
Right, yeah.
I do one show there a month. You know, I have run of the place. If you guys ever wanted to play to some young people, some kids, and do one of my shows, you just let me know, man.
All right, will do. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you, Damon. Thank you, Joel. And we'll see you soon.
We'll talk to you soon, Mike. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Riot fans.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Woo!
It's great. That was great.
Oh man, that was great.
Really enjoyed that.
I tell you, man, I really enjoyed it, and I said this at the beginning. Like, listen, it's easy for me to bring on one of my old knockaround buddies. You know what I mean? I got a million of them. You know, guys, all my old hardcore pals, right, have all marched through this show, right? You know, guys from I've been involved in, right? But at this stage of the game, 10 shows in, I really enjoy when someone comes on that I don't have a history with, that's new, fresh, and invigorating, and I get to learn about their career and what they've done. And in this case, this guy's a friggin' gem. And Damien, you were right. And Joel, I understand why you're so passionate about. Man, wow, it was great. It's great.
You did a great job, hosting the show and putting everything together, and coming with your perspective at the whole thing. Like, just cut through a lot of like all the bullshit politics that some of the baggage that the band carries around. I mean, it's very fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Crystal. With this show, I think it's given and it's understood that if you come on the show, we're not going to get into a lot of the bullshit. We're here to talk about the tie that binds us together, and that's music. That's what this show's about. This show's not about who's been vaxxed and who's running for office, and this show exists as an alternative to get away from that stuff for 2 hours. That's it. What else, Joel? Let me see what other pictures that I didn't. Couple pictures I didn't post. Oh, here's one. Here's one I didn't post. And Joel, you told me early on about this, right?
Oh yeah.
You were like, listen to Restless Breed.
I think my exact quote was, "This will knock your dick off."
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
That's it's hard to pick favorites, but I can listen to this record every day of my life. Seriously.
Wow.
Such a great album.
Yeah.
So many like late night drives with that record on the player in the car.
And thanks, John in London. It was a feel-good show, huh? How about that? Every once in a while, we can have one. Damien, now you are dropping the third, this being the third episode. When is this dropping?
It's this Saturday at 2:00 New York time on the NYC Rocks TV channel on YouTube, or you can go to the website. There'll be a YouTube video there. But yeah, these videos are available. So if you haven't seen any of them, you can catch up before Saturday, and join us for the live premiere and the live chat. And then there's another one coming out, Chapter 4, coming out the following Saturday, same time, same place.
Yep.
And that'll be like the Riot Thundersteel reunion, Immortal Soul, and then Mark's passing, and then the rebirth of, or the origin story of Riot 5, going on.
And I like how you broke it up. I mean, you as I'm sitting here editing this, Biohazard documentary, like I said, as a fellow filmmaker, I'm dealing with a lot of the same junctures. How do you tell a story of a band like this? You have the early days, and Chapter 1 was really great, really set the table. And it's sort of, I love how you go back and it's like old New York in the 70s, what the music scene was like, and these guys coming up. It really set the table in a really nice way.
Yeah, it was really cool to find some of that archival footage that came from Giles. I had
that in my notes, actually. I wanted to ask you something that I remember. The footage in the film, it might be the first segment. In the first segment, it looks like 8mm film footage, but there's sound to it. Is that right?
There was sound to it. Yep.
How's that? How's there sound to 8?
There is Super 8 that has a sound stripe on the film. There was Super 8 film cameras that recorded sound. They had a sound stripe on the side.
No shit.
And I'm not sure who was filming that footage. I know Mark was into filmmaking, and so I have a feeling he probably had a Super 8 camera and maybe gave it to like one of his roadies, or maybe he had a buddy who was with them, because it's over a series of years, that some of that footage, and I had to reconstruct it. It was all in this one QuickTime file. I don't know who transferred it, but I had to reconstruct it. It was all like scattered around on this file, and like,
of course it was. Of course it was. You don't think it was gonna be handed to you and it be coherent, did you?
No, I had to like rebuild that footage. The sound was out of sync. I had to like resync everything.
I've been there. But you know, it's getting easier to sort of like. Do you work in Adobe Premiere?
Yeah.
It's getting a little bit easier to sort of sort through the shit now, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can auto sync stuff, and you know, it's not that I know how to do all that, but you know, it's a little bit easier.
It was cool. It was cool, like discovering. It was like a time travel thing. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, I can't believe this footage exists. You know, from like 1979, 1980.
Love it.
This band. I mean, it was just like, I was like, wow, what? It's like magic. Felt
It's
like
like
magic.
I'm dealing with it now. Like I said, I just had Evan Seinfeld from Biohazard's kid, Sammy, who's not a kid. He's a grown man. He's in his late 20s, but had him go to his dad's storage room and get the box with all the old stuff, and on a call like this, pull the shit out and you go, okay, what about this? Okay, I want that. I want this. I want that. What's this? L'Amour's. What's the date? Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I want that. You know, and you know what he had, Joel? You'll appreciate this. That I haven't seen since I did it, which is the Nativity in Black Sabbath tribute album EPK.
Cool. That's
yeah,
great.
I that doesn't exist anywhere. I haven't seen it, and he had a copy of it on VHS, and I'm like, yeah, I want that. Put that in the box. I want that. You know, shit like that. So,
You know, I think anything that existed before, like the digital age we're in now, you know, it's just so rare to have documentation from that time. It's, you know, but before there were cell phone cameras and all that.
Yeah,
so anything like from before that time, where it's like ubiquitous now, it has a lot more value because it wasn't common.
Well, because it's very finite. You know what I mean? It's like there's not going to be an endless supply of this stuff. So as time marches on, the stuff becomes rarer and rarer. It's stuff gets thrown out. Stuff gets, people don't pay their storage space, and it gets, so there's less and less great discoveries of this stuff. As in this day and age.
Yeah, for me, YouTube was amazing like resource for finding some of this obscure footage. Like I found a Rhett Forrester playing with his solo band, some Riot songs. There's so little of him, and I'm like, oh, I got to put that in there. And I have like these bits in the Lone Shark part in my film where he put out this video later, Assume the Position, and it had these like bits of him live, and I cheated it into the Lone Shark, just finding these like artifacts and out there that exists.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, but Rhett, is that his first? Rhett?
Yeah.
Was like reminding me of like a Bon Scott kind of guy. Is that fair to kind of say?
A little bit of Bon, a lot of David Coverdale, I thought.
Okay. Yeah.
He had like a great kind of like rasp to his voice.
Yeah.
Definitely different. I mean, all the Riot singers were very different from each other. But Rhett had a very sort of he fit the time. He fit the time that he was fronting the band. And those two studio albums he did with them, Restless Breed and Born in America, are as good, if not better, than any of the classics we think of from that era from any of those bands.
Yeah.
Way up.
Here's the last photo that I actually did not put on screen. Boom. Is this Mike and Tony?
That's Tony. Yeah.
Tony. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the last one that I didn't. I got through all the photos that I put up. Yeah. Good one. Cool stuff. All right. Well, hey, let's go get something to eat. Damien, anybody you want to thank? Oh, you know what? Let me ask you this, Damien. What's next, Mr. Ace Filmmaker?
Well, I don't have any film projects lined up. You know, after this, just take a pause. This has been like, you know, a year where I've been working on it, you know, pretty consistently. So I can't say I have, you know, I'm going to take on another passion project anytime soon, but if there was someone wanted to hire me for something, then
I'm available.
That comes to the forefront. But
yeah,
you know, like take a break and, you know, spend more time with family for like, you know,
gotcha.
the next few months.
Anybody
Recharge.
you want to shout out or thank?
Well, I mean, Mike Flyntz, obviously he's been just, you know, super supportive of the film and, you know, helping get Mark's legacy out there, you know, like Mark Reality's story, that the more people are aware of it. And just thank my wife who's over here for her patience with me putting so much attention on this project. She made this jacket.
Wow.
This patches. My
that's
first
cool.
battle vest with back is all different Riot albums.
That's your Riot battle vest.
Yeah. Yeah. Battle vests are pretty common here in Germany, so I had to get one. And
yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And,
all right.
you know,
well, hey, thanks, Damien. I know
thanks for having me on the show, and Mike, having Mike on the show. I mean, it was great. It was a great conversation. And Joel, you know, like your knowledge and background was awesome too. You know, like this was great. Like this is better than, you know, I thought, and I hope people check out the rest of the film. You know,
there you go. We're in the business of doing great shows here. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Right. Well, there you have it, buddy. It's you and me. That was great.
Man standing.
That was great, man. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want to say you saved my ass, but boy, I was glad you're here, you know, and I love doing these shows with you because I think we both come at from two different, you know, kind of angles, and I think we work well together, and I hope we'll scour we'll scour the database and figure out what we could do together next.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be back together, I'm sure.
Anybody you want to thank?
Well, I want to shout out, you know, since this episode is kind of a hard rock and metal geared conversation, I wanted to acknowledge that we lost James Kotak a few days ago. Montrose was mentioned earlier. James played drums in Montrose. He also played in the Scorpions for a bunch of years, was in the band Kingdom Come in the late 80s. Right. James passed away a few days ago. Really fun guy. I was lucky enough to cross paths with him in my travels. And
was he in Montrose before Kingdom Come, or was that after?
It was before Kingdom Come. Ronnie Montrose had put together, like years after the Hagar era,
right,
a new version of Montrose.
I see.
And they did one album called Mean. I think it was 87.
Right.
Doesn't hold much of a candle to the classic Montrose.
Sure.
But, you know, James kind of got rolling with that and then ended up in Kingdom Come, which was, I think, his definitive drumming album. I mean, the production of his playing on that record is...
Well, that you talk about that first record, the first Kingdom Come record?
Yeah, the self-titled album with Get It On and all that stuff.
Good record. Good sounding record, yeah.
Yeah, and James was a good guy, and I'm sorry he's gone. So I figure we'll have people watching today who would be familiar with James. I wanted to acknowledge that, and just give a shout out to Mike and Damien for doing their great work keeping this band's legacy going. And I can't say enough about Riot as a fan. I mean, they're incredible.
Right on. All right, let's talk soon.
You got it, man. Take care. Goodbye,
all
everyone.
Right. Take care. Well, there you have it. Another one in the books. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really, it was great. You know what? I want to say something. I want to mention, for those, we're at the end of the show, right? And I know there's not a lot of people that you know have made it to the very end, but I just want to tell you something. I want to let just between me and you, all right? because you're here with me, because you've made it this long to the end. And don't tell anybody about this, all right? This is between you and me. Don't tell anybody about this, all right? I always say do good things and good things will come to you, right? And I believe that, right? I want to show you something. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, huh? Now, I'm trusting you not to tell anybody about this, okay? But this is going down Wednesday, February 7th. The one, the only, Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat is going to be on the show, right? Special guest Glenn E. Friedman, photographer, talking about his Minor Threat book, all right? So, yep. Come on, yeah. Good to see who's still watching. Matt Gray. These are my fucking people right here. Matt Gray, RS70, you know. Oh, everybody's piping up now, right? Oh. Yeah, come on now. Can you listen? Can you hear me now, motherfuckers? Right? What's up? Yeah. Yep. It's going down. It's going down. Woo! Years. 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 All right? It's going down. Man. Yep. Yep. That's it. Don't tell anybody. I'm trusting you. Don't let these other people know. It's between you and me. All right? Between you and me. Yeah, man. Yep. It's going to be great. Level 1000 unlocked. Yep. Yep. One of the white whales. Yep. Big deal. Big deal for me personally. So, you know, we just grinded it out, everybody. You and I. We grinded, man. We grinded. Yes, Gina B. Good to see you out there. Finally chimed in. Yeah. Yes, John. Holy Grail. Grail guest. Yep. Way, Marco. Way. Worked hard on that one. For years. Yeah. I'm going to announce it on social media in the next couple of days. I'm going to announce it and put it out there. So listen, what can I complain about? I lead a pretty charmed life. You know, I lead a pretty damn charmed life. And thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for supporting me. You know, I appreciate it. That said, hey, I'll see you a week from today with Dickie Barrett. Should be an interesting show. He's got a lot to say for himself. Tomorrow night, Incendiary Device is at in Bushwick, Brooklyn with Rebelmatic. So until then, do good things, and I guarantee you, good things will come to you.